Yeah.
Ijaz, you are part of which team? Cricket Cricket?
I play for MCA, Montreal
MCA.
Cricket Association. Yeah.
Okay, okay, got it.
Yeah. Al Fatah Gladiators is the team where,
Okay,
yeah, I played for.
okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Naveen.
Yeah, hi Navneet.
Hi. This is which Naveen? You play for which team?
Yeah, we play for Montreal Mavericks.
Mavericks. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Maybe Navneet, we can ask them to
Yeah.
add in the name TCF or MCA. So for attendance, it would be easier.
Oh yeah, actually not bad idea.
So if you can change your name to, like, say, I can change my name to Namni,
Navneet,
and
see if you can do it,
I'll.
and then instruct everybody to do that as well.
I think, oh, maybe no.
In Zoom, it is straightforward.
Oh yeah, I think in this you need to do when you join. I
Let
don't
me
think
join.
Oh, I
you.
see.
It's okay. I mean, I can. Anyway, I'll note down all the names, and like, Ashok is here. I can cross check with them
Yeah.
when who are from MCA
Oh, yeah,
whenever required. So I think we are looking kind of better to start today. Deepak Chauhan and Rahul will be presenting the session, and Deepak Chauhan will take from law 23 to 28, and appeals and dismissals will be taken by then Rahul will take over, and from 29 to 40, I believe, appeals and dismissal will be taken by Rahul. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending today's session. Over to you, Deepak.
yeah. Hi everyone. My name is Deepak. I did my level 2 last year. So yep. Here to present from law 23 to 28. Law 23, buy and leg buy. 23.1 buys. If the ball delivered by the bowler, not being a wide, passes the striker without touching his or bat or person, any runs completed by the batsman from that delivery or a boundary allowance shall be credited as buys to the batting side. Additionally, if the delivery is a no ball, the 1 run penalty for such a delivery shall be incurred. Leg buys. If a ball delivered by the bowler first strikes the person of the striker, runs shall be scored only if the umpire is satisfied that the striker has either attempted to play the ball with the bat or try to avoid being hit by the ball. If the umpire is satisfied that either of these conditions has been met, runs shall be scored as follows. If there is either no subsequent contact with the striker's bat or person, or only inadvertent contact with the striker's bat or person, any runs completed by the batsman or boundary allowance shall be credited to the striker in the case of subsequent contact with his/her bat, but otherwise to the batting side, as in 23.2.3. 23.2.2, if the striker willfully makes a lawful second strike, laws 34.3, ball lawfully struck more than once, and 34.4, runs permitted from ball lawfully struck more than once shall apply. 23.2.3, the runs in 23.2.2.1, unless credited to the striker, shall be scored as leg buys. Additionally, if the delivery is a no ball, the 1 run penalty for the no ball shall be incurred. 23.3, leg buys not to be awarded. If in the circumstances of 23.2.1, the umpire considers that neither of the conditions therein has been met, then leg buys shall not be awarded. If the ball does not become dead for any other reason, the umpire shall call and signal dead ball as soon as the ball reaches the boundary or at the completion of first run. The umpire shall then disallow all runs to the batting side return any not out batsman to his or original end, signal no ball to the scorers if applicable, award any 5-run penalty that is applicable, except for penalty runs under law 28.3. Protective helmets belonging to the fielding side.
Bye and leg bye. When is a run a bye or a leg bye? In the case of a bye, it's simple. If a ball passes the batsman without being a wide and without touching his or her bat or body.
Can you guys hear the video?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Any runs completed are known as byes. So what about leg byes? In this case, if a ball comes off any part of the striker except the bat, or a hand holding the bat, then runs known as leg byes can be scored, provided that the umpire is satisfied that the striker was either trying to play the ball with the bat or was trying to avoid being hit. If the umpire does not think that the striker was either trying to hit the ball or was taking evasive action, he or she will allow the batsman to attempt to run one, not purely out of a spirit of generosity, but to give the fielding side the chance to effect a run-out. After that, the umpire will call and signal dead ball and tell the batsman to return to their original ends, making sure that the scorers know that no runs should be credited. Byes and leg byes are added to the total of runs scored by the team, but not awarded to the individual batsman. If they are taken off a no ball, they are still recorded as byes and leg byes, and the batting team is also credited with an extra penalty run for the no ball, scored separately as a no ball extra. It's all under Law 23 in the Blue Book. So on the subject of byes and leg byes, it's goodbye from me.
Okay, so a delivery is not a wide, and if it does not hit the striker's bat, person or equipment, the batsman complete one or more runs or the ball is grounded over the boundary. Byes are not credited to the batsman or debited against the bowler, but are added to the batting side's total score. If a ball is no ball, the 1-run penalty for no ball shall be scored in addition to any byes. Once the ball is dead, the umpire of the bowler's end must signal bye to the scorer, in addition to the no ball signal if necessary.
If the ball is not a wide, passes the striker without hitting the bat or person, and the batsman then completes one or more runs, then those runs are scored as byes. They do not count to the striker's personal total, but do count for the batting side.
Leg bye. So we'll see when leg byes are scored. Any delivery hits the batsman or his equipment other than the bat or the hand holding the bat, and in the opinion of the umpire, the striker was making a genuine attempt to hit the ball or taking evasive action to try to prevent the ball hitting him/her. The batsman complete one or more runs or the ball is grounded over the boundary. This is very important. The batsman has to make a attempt to hit the ball. Sometimes the batsman, they don't do it and they don't go to play the ball. And if in this scenario, we saw that the umpires let them try to go for the run so that the fielding team has the opportunity to get a run out. But when they complete the run, the umpire signals dead ball and return them to their original position.
If the ball strikes the batsman or his or her equipment while he or she was trying to play the ball, or prevent getting hit by it, and then the batsman complete one or more runs, then these runs are scored as leg byes.
Leg bye is not scored, as I mentioned. In the opinion of bowlers and umpire, the striker has not make a genuine attempt to hit the ball or is not taking avoiding action, then leg byes cannot be scored. If the batsmen do decide to run, the umpires will let them complete the first run. During this time, the fielding side are entitled to try to run out either batsman. Once they have completed first run or the ball passes over the boundary, the bowlers and umpire will immediately call and signal that ball. The umpire will tell the batsman to return to their original ends. The umpire will signal no ball to the scorers if applicable, together with a repeat of a dead ball signal. Whoever is giving level 2, this question is very important, and one of the it has high probability to come in the exam. So I'd say, like, tick mark this one and save it somewhere so you can learn this and you can read this afterwards.
My top tip for Law 23, bye and
I
leg
think we
bye.
can skip this. All other penalty runs shall count in addition to leg byes, except in the following situation. Leg byes would be disallowed, whether attempted or not, if the batsman has not made a genuine attempt to play a shot or taken avoiding action. In these circumstances, the 5-run penalty for the ball hitting a fielder helmet placed on the ground will not apply. The ball does, however, still become dead when it strikes the helmet. Reflective questions. A fair delivery is bowled and the batsman attempts to play at it but misses it. It hits him, her on the leg and runs into the outfield. The batsman complete 1 run. What happens next? When the ball is dead, the umpire signals leg bye. When the first run is completed, the umpire signals dead ball and returns the batsman to their original end, disallowing the runs. When the ball is dead, the umpire signals bye. Do we have any volunteer to answer this question?
Should A?
Any other volunteer? Any other? We'll go with A. Next question. A fair delivery is bowled. The batsman makes no attempt to play at it. It hits him, her on the leg, runs into the outfield. The batsman run. What happens next? When the ball is dead at the umpire signals leg byes. When the first run is completed, the umpire signals dead ball and returns the batsman to their original ends, disallowing the runs. When the ball is dead, the umpire signal bye.
So it is B.
Yeah, you need to know that whenever you see no attempt to play at it, that's the right one to go with. Yeah, okay, we are done with 23.
Deepak, one more thing I wanted to reiterate in this leg byes law is whenever there is the leg bye situation where the batsman hasn't played a shot, right? So no genuine attempt to play the ball, but the ball goes through and hits the protective equipment which is kept, like the helmet, behind the wicket keeper, right?
Yeah.
So that in that case, if the batsman doesn't make an effort to attempt to play the shot, you cannot penalize the bowling team for the ball hitting the helmet.
Yep.
And then that's the reason why that 28.3 protective helmets 5 runs penalty is not awarded. It only applies when the batsman makes an effort to play the ball and then the ball goes out in the field of play and then hits the helmet. Only in that case 5 runs will be awarded. If the batsman doesn't play a shot, those runs will not be awarded. So just to remember those things.
Yeah, especially for level 2, these two situations are very important. Like one of the hot topics that can come in the exam. I think I cannot go.
Rahul, sorry, just have a question here, just a quick question. For example, a batsman didn't offer a shot, and a ball beats, and it's beat by the fielder also, and it goes to a boundary. Does it going to be a 4 byes or it will be nothing?
So the difference between byes and leg byes is byes, the batsman or none of his person has to be touched. So if the ball just doesn't touch the batter's person or bat or any other part of his body and goes out in the outfield, it is byes. Leg byes is only when it touches the batter's person, not the bat, but any part of the body. So If the ball goes to the boundary in the scenario you mentioned, when it hasn't touched anything, it would be 4 byes, not leg byes.
And but if it touches and then it goes for a boundary, then what's gonna be happen?
Yeah, if it touches the batsman's body or pad or glove or anything other than the bat, then it would be 4 leg byes. But
But if he didn't offer a shot, then what?
yeah, if he doesn't offer a shot, then you cannot penalize. All runs will be disallowed, right?
Doesn't offer a shot or taking an evasive action.
Evasive action, right?
The batter can not offer a shot, but avoiding from an injury or ducking for a bouncer. So that in that case, the batter doesn't need to offer a shot. But in other cases, batter has to offer a shot to consider for
leg byes.
Yeah, so what Navneet mentioned is in terms of a scenario when batsman is evasive, taking evasive action to avoid an injury. So if a short ball is bowled, batsman ducks. He's not playing a shot, but he ducks. Ball hits his helmet and then goes. It would still be 4 leg byes, but only in that scenario. But in all other scenarios, he has to offer a shot. Otherwise, all leg byes will not be awarded if the batsman doesn't make a genuine attempt to play.
Perfect. Thanks.
You're right. Go ahead, Deepak.
Okay. Low 24, fielders absence, substitute. 24.1, substitute fielders. 24.1.1, umpires shall allow a substitute fielder if they are satisfied that a fielder has been injured or become ill and that this occurred during the match. Or 24.1.2, for any other wholly acceptable reason. In all other circumstances, a substitute is not allowed. 24.1.2, a substitute shall not bowl or act as captain, but may act as a wicketkeeper only with the consent of the umpires. Note, however, low 42.7.1, additional points relating to level 3 and level 4 offenses. 24.1.3, a nominated player may bowl or field even though a substitute has previously acted for him, her, subject to 24.2, 24.3, and low 42.4, level 3 offenses and action by umpires. 24.2, fielder absent or leaving the field of play. A player going briefly outside the boundary while carrying out any duties as a fielder is not absent from the field of play, nor for the purpose of this law is he/she to be regarded as having left the field of play. 24.2.2, if a fielder fails to take the field at the start of play or at any later time, or leaves the field during play. 24.2.2.1, an umpire shall be informed of the reason for this absence. 24.2.2.2, he/she shall not thereafter come into field of play during a session of play without the consent of umpire. See 24.4, the umpire shall give such consent as soon as it is practicable. 24.2.2.3, he/she shall not be permitted to bowl, not having been back on the field of play for a period of time known as penalty time, as described in 24.2.2.3 to 24.2.7 and 24.3. 24.2.3, a player's unserved penalty time shall be limited to a maximum of 90 minutes. 24.2.4, if a player leaves the field before having served all of his/her penalty time, the balance is carried forward as unserved penalty time. 24.2.5, the player shall not bowl until all of his/her penalty time has been served. On any occasion of absence, the amount of playing time for which the player is off the field shall be added to any penalty time that remains unserved, subject to 24.2.3, and that player shall not bowl until all of his/her penalty time has been served. 24.2.6, if there is an unscheduled break in play, the stoppage time shall count as penalty time served, provided that the fielder who was on the field of play at the start of the break either takes the field on the resumption of the play or his/her side is not batting. The fielder who was already off the field at the start of the break notifies an umpire in person as soon as he/she is able to participate, and either takes the field on the resumption of the play or her side is now batting. Stoppage time before an umpire has been so notified shall not count towards unserved penalty time. 24.2.7. Any unserved penalty time shall be carried forward into the next and subsequent days and innings of the match as applicable. 24.2.8. If a level 3 offense under law 42.4, level 3 offenses and action by umpires is committed by a fielder, the period of time spent off the field of a play as a result of suspension shall not be added to any unserved penalty time if she takes the field at the end of the period of suspension. Law 24.2.9. If a level 3 offense under law 42.4, level 3 offenses and action by umpires is committed by a substitute, the following shall apply. The period of time spent off the field as a result of suspension shall not be added to any penalty time that remains unserved if the nominated player takes the field at the end of the period of suspension. However, any time spent off the field prior to the offense causing the suspension will remain as unserved penalty time, subject to 24.2.3. 24.2.9.2. If nominated player does not take the field at the end of the period of suspension, then the entire period of his or absence will be treated as penalty time up to maximum of 90 minutes. 24.3. Penalty time not incurred. A nominated player's absence will not incur penalty time if she has suffered an external blow during the match and as a result has justifiably left the field or is unable to take the field. In the opinion of umpires, the player has been absent or has left the field for other wholly acceptable reasons, which shall not include illness or internal injury. 24.4. Players returning without permission. This is very important, guys. If a player comes onto the field of play in contravention of 24.2.2 and comes into contact while the ball with the ball while it is in play, the ball shall immediately become dead. The umpire shall award 5 penalty runs to the batting side. Runs completed by batsmen shall be scored together with the run in progress if they had already crossed at the instant of the offense. The ball shall not count as one of the over. The umpire shall inform the other umpire, the captain of the fielding side, the batsman, and as soon as practicable, the captain of the batting side of the reason for this action. Umpires together shall report the occurrence as soon as possible after the match to the executive of the offending side and to any governing body responsible for the match, who shall take action as is considered appropriate against the captain, any other individuals concerned, and if appropriate, the team. If a player has been injured or become ill during the match, then the umpire will allow substitute fielder to take his or her place. The umpires may also allow a substitute for other wholly acceptable reasons, but for other circumstances to change shirts extra, it will not be allowed. An example of wholly acceptable reason would be allowing a substitute for an emergency services worker who is called away to a job. The substitute will not be allowed to bowl or act as a captain, but may be allowed to keep wicket with the consent of the umpires. The permission will not be granted. However, if the wicketkeeper commits a level 3 offense and then another fielder becomes ill or injured and is substituted, in these circumstances, only a nominated player may keep wicket. Note the difference between a substitute and a replacement. A replacement player can take a full part in the match, but a substitute can only field and keep wicket. If the fielder fails to take the field at the start of the game or any new session or later leaves the field, the umpires need to be notified of the reason for the absence and must note the time that the absence started. The absent player will need to get the umpire's permission to return, which will be given as soon as practicable. The time spent off the field is known as penalty time. Penalty time. The returning player will not be able to bowl or bat until she has been back on the field for same length of time as the penalty time. So if the fielder leaves for like 15 minutes, they need to wait for 15 minutes to bowl. Penalty time is limited. The maximum is 90 minutes, and if the absence is larger than this, the player, again, as I said, the player need to only serve 90 minutes of time before they are able to play a full part in the match. If a player leaves the field again before having served all the penalty time, the unserved balance is carried forward and added to any further time built up for absence, subject to maximum of 19 minutes. So let's say if a fielder is out for like 20 minutes, they come back in, they serve 10 minutes. 10 minutes is still unserved penalty time. So if they go back out again, that will be added to that time. So if they go out for like 20 minutes, it will be 30 minutes, 10 plus 20. If there's an unscheduled break in play, example rain, then the stoppage time shall count as penalty time served, provided a fielder who has unserved time was on the field at the start of unscheduled break and takes the field immediately on the resumption of play, or his side is now batting. The fielder was not on the field at the start of the unscheduled break, but informs the umpire that she will take the field on the resumption of play, or if her side is now batting. Only time after the notification to the umpires will count as penalty time served. In either of these cases, the umpire need to be informed before player restarts that the fielder is ready and able to participate. Any unserved time, penalty time, is carried over to the next and subsequent days and innings. A player cannot serve or accrue penalty time during an interval. If a level 3 offense is committed by the fielder, then the period of time spent of the field due to this offense will not be added to any unserved penalty time. That will still remain when she returns. If the level 3 offense, see law 42.2, is committed by a substitute, then this period of suspension will not be added to any unserved time if the nominated player returns at the end of suspension period. However, any unserved time spent off the field prior to the suspension will still remain. If the nominated player does not return after the suspension period, then the entire period of absence will be treated as penalty time, maximum 90 minutes.
This is okay, Deepak. You can skip this. Like people can read the flow chart as and when, because it's pretty long and it's fairly well described. So,
yep, you're right. An external blow or other acceptable reason. A nominated player's absence will not incur penalty time if the player has suffered an external blow during the match and has justifiably left the field. Penalty time will also not be incurred if the umpires consider the absence was due to other wholly acceptable reasons, not including injury or illness. Yeah, this is very important, as I mentioned. So in the scenario of player returning without permission, and they touch the ball, which is in play, umpire shall award 5 penalty runs to the batting side. Otherwise, the ball will not count as one in the over. Advise the scorers that all runs completed by the batsman, including the run in progress, if crossed, will be scored. Inform the batsman, and when practicable, the batting side's captain of what has happened. As soon as possible after the match, report the matter to the offending team's executive and the governing body responsible for the match, who will take any appropriate action on the captain, individuals, or team concerned. So one thing that I would like to mention is when we said that, let's say the fielder goes out and they would like to come in, even during the over, if you think that they can come inside, the umpires can give permission for the fielder to come during the over. It's not recommended to do it after the over. It's only when it's practicable, that it doesn't stop the play or it doesn't delay the play. Umpires can go ahead with the player, with the fielder who can come inside. Reflective questions. Complete the following sentence. A fielding substitute is allowed to field in a close catching position, to act as a captain, of the fielding side to bowl. Any volunteer, please?
Deepak, start picking names and ask them to unmute the microphones and just answer.
Oh, sure.
So I think it's A, because he cannot be the captain or ball, so it has to be A.
Just out of curiosity, who can be the captain?
Yes,
The
that's a good
nominated
question.
players.
Yeah, it has to be a
All
nominated player.
So Sajid remembers whatever we learned like the last 2 sessions. So that's good. Great.
I'm sorry, guys. I have a very sore throat bad. That's why I'm not even like talking a lot. Normally, it's unlike me not being a part of a session and not talking.
It's all good. At least you're still listening. That's the main point of these sessions are to like to understand the laws. So it's not difficult for you during the exam, because these laws, if especially for level 1 and level 2, these laws are very important because they are the base for any umpire.
Believe me, Deepak, I've been there, done that. I've done level 1, level 2 Cricket Canada exams.
Okay.
My hope is to be writing level 3 Cricket Canada exam. So hopefully everything goes in
that's
the way
good.
according to our plan.
Yeah. So next question: a fielder leaves the field of play with a muscle injury and is off the field for 12 minutes of playing time. After she returns, after how long can she bowl? Immediately, 12 minutes, 90 minutes.
B. B.
What if they leave? Let's say they need to serve 12 minutes. What if they leave after serving 2 minutes? How many minutes do they need to serve? How many minutes is like unserved penalty time if they leave right after 2 minutes?
It will be 10 minutes again, which are in like a debt, and he has to.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Harsh, I see your hand is raised. You have anything to say?
Yeah, it was 12 minutes.
Oh,
Okay.
he wanted to answer.
Okay, so I have just one question to check the understanding. Somebody can explain, who have not answered before, can explain when do you allow a substitute? What is the criteria you see to allow a substitute? Yes, Harsh.
Yeah, in a emergency situation.
Emergency situation. Any other?
Any injury?
Okay.
Injury on the ground.
Exactly. So any injury or illness happening during the play, and any wholly acceptable reason, which can be an emergency or something else which you think it is wholly acceptable reason. Thank you. Thank you, Deepak. You can continue.
One question for everyone. Do you allow substitute if the fielder is going out to drink water?
No.
No.
Okay.
One more thing, gentlemen, would like to add is a lot of players who play this game, even when I was playing, I was under that same impression. So I would include myself as well. Everybody thinks that substitutes are just allowed for any rhyme or reason that the player has to leave, right? It's not. It's only allowed in terms of like if there is an on-field injury and then they have to go out and attend that injury with the physio or something, and for any other wholly acceptable reason, as Navneet said. And if they tell you, and like even for bathroom breaks, substitutes are not allowed. So just be mindful of whenever a player comes or the captain comes and asks for a substitute. And if they are already injured, if they are carrying an injury from a previous game into this game and they ask for like a substitute for that reason, just tell them, like, if you are already injured, you shouldn't be playing this game. We cannot allow unless until the injury has happened in front of your eyes, because you are the impartial person there. You have to judge the allowing of substitute or not in a partial in an impartial manner. So that is like you of course, like you communicate this response to the captain in a polite manner, but it's just like sometimes there is a lot of education along with these kind of situation, and hopefully they will understand that previous game injuries shouldn't be carried forward into this. They can come play, but they just have to play with that injury, and if they aggravate it more, it's just their loss, but they just cannot call for a substitute for that specific reason. So just letting you know that like in what situations those things can be allowed and what not. And as Deepak mentioned, as soon as practicable, as long as the game is there is no delay or no waste of time, you can call the substitute. But anytime a fielder leaves a field of play, an umpire has to be informed. Not both umpires, only one umpire is okay as well. But anytime they want to come back in, they need to inform the umpire as well, because we keep track of their time, especially the penalty time that they need to serve before they bowl or bat. So we need to be aware of when fielders are coming. If they are not informing us, then illegal fielding, as Deepak mentioned, would be the case. But just to hone in that information for this specific law. Okay, go ahead, Deepak.
Thanks, Rahul.
Sorry, there is a
Question?
Ashok raised his hand.
Sorry, gentlemen. First of all, I just wanted to make sure: does the substitute player has to be declared on the declaration sheet, or the captain can decide that they can send anybody as a substitute? And how many substitutes are allowed in a game?
Can I answer that, or you want to answer?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Navneet. Go ahead,
so it will depend on your playing condition also. Like the laws does not mention any limit on the number of substitutes or who can be substitutes. But when you see a playing condition, ICC playing condition, say for a T20 playing condition, it says you have to declare 15 players, 11 plus 4 substitutes. So if that is your playing condition, you have to give their name before the match while nominating, and only those 4 can act as substitutes.
Okay. Because normally in our case, we just have 12-player list. So you recommend that should be a 15-player list then?
Yes. So if there are like generally how the playing conditions work is we adopt international playing conditions, and if you want somebody to be substitute, you mention their name in the list so that they can act as a substitute later in the match.
It should be declared like on the sheet.
Okay.
Yes, Navneet, Dr. Ashok, just as Navneet said, in the playing conditions, substitutes are not permitted unless you have it as part of your playing condition. Normally, we play T20 or 50 overs. In the playing condition from ICC, substitutes are not allowed. That's one thing that we should consider as an umpire. The law said, yeah, you can have substitute, but today's playing condition requires that you don't have to have substitute if it's up to the umpire. But if you go by the playing condition, you would not allow any substitute unless it's an injury, as Rahul said, on the field, or that's wholly acceptable reason.
Yeah, I just have a question. I remember, last year when we had cubic blast, and in our first match we have 2 major injuries. Like one guy hit on his eye, and the other guy, he has like 6 stitches between his hand. So we are missing 2 players. So in that case, can we have 2 substitutes, right?
You can have substitutes, but replacement is a whole different.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask, because first guy who got injured he got hit on his eye. He was the first over the 3rd ball. So
I understand.
So we can ask the captain, or we have to ask the umpire for the replacement?
If it is a replacement, it has to come through the captain, and it doesn't have to be an injury. Captain can agree replacement for any reason. The umpire just has to be informed for that purpose. But for injury, you umpires, if see, obviously that is a big injury, and umpires allow a substitute for that. But unfortunately, you cannot replace a player because of an injury.
So it means even if we want to be replaced, the other captain has to agree for that, because umpire has no jurisdiction. Okay, this is not umpire's job.
Otherwise, substitute can only field.
Field, that's it. Okay, I got it now.
Yeah, field or be a wicket keeper with the consent of the umpire.
Perfect.
Okay. Low 25, batsman innings, runners.
Law 20.
25.1. Eligibility to act as a batsman or runner. Only a nominated player may bat or act as a runner, and subject to 25.3 and 25.5.2 may do so even though a substitute fielder has previously acted for him/her. 25.2. Commencement of a batsman's innings. The innings of the first two batsmen and that of any new batsman on the resumption of play after a call of time shall commence at the call of play. At any other time, batsman's innings shall be considered to have commenced when the batsman first steps onto the field of play. Restriction on batsman commencing an innings. If a member of the batting side has unserved penalty times, see law 24.2.7, fielder absent or leaving the field of play, that player shall not be permitted to bat or act as a runner until that penalty time has been served. However, even if the unserved penalty time has not expired, that player may bat after his/her side has lost 5 wickets. 25.3.2. A member of the batting side's penalty time is served during playing time, subject to the conditions in 25.3.2.1 and 25.3.2.2. The period of time while serving a suspension for a level 3 offense under law 42.4, level 3 offenses and action by umpires, does not count as penalty time served. The period of time for scheduled interval does not count as penalty time served. In the event of an unscheduled stoppage, the stoppage time after the batsman notifies an umpire in person that he/she is able to participate shall count as penalty time served. 25.3.3. If any unserved penalty time remains at the end of team's inning, it shall be carried forward to the next and subsequent innings of the match if appropriate. 25.4. Batsman retiring. A batsman may retire at any time during his/her innings when the ball is dead. The umpires, before allowing a play to proceed, shall be informed of the reason for batsman retiring. 25.4.2. If a batsman retires because of illness, injury, or any other unavoidable cause, that batsman is entitled to resume his/her innings. If for any reason this does not happen, that batsman is to be recorded as retired, not out. 25.4.3. If a batsman retires for any reason other than as in 25.4.2, the innings of that batsman may be resumed only with the consent of the opposing captain. If for any reason his/her innings is not resumed, the batsman is to be recorded as retired out. 25.4.4. If after retiring a batsman resume his/her innings, subject to the requirements of 25.4.2 and 25.4.3, it shall be only at the fall of a wicket or retirement of another batsman. 25.5. Runners. The umpire shall allow a runner for a batsman if they are satisfied that the batsman has sustained an injury that affects his/her ability to run and that this occurred during the match. In all other circumstances, a runner is not allowed. 25.5.2. A runner shall be a member of batting side, if possible have already batted in that innings. When this is not possible, if circumstances change such that a dismissed batsman can act as a runner, then the runner must be changed immediately. Be changed only with the consent of the umpires. Wear external protective equipment equivalent to that worn by the batsman for whom he/she runs and shall carry a bat. Not have any unserved penalty time as described in law 24.2.7, fielder absent or leaving the field of play. 25.5.3. A batsman's runner is subject to the laws and will be regarded as a batsman except where there are special provisions for his/her role as a runner. See law 30.2, which is a batsman's ground. 25.6. Dismissal and conduct of a batsman and his/her runner. A batsman who has a runner will suffer the penalty for any infringement of the laws by the runner, as if he, the batsman, had been responsible for the infringement. In particular, he, will be out if the runner is out under either of laws 37, obstructing the field, or 38, run out. 25.6.2, when a batsman who has a runner is the striker, he, remains subject to the laws and will be liable to the penalties that any infringement of them demands. In case of run out and stumped, however, special provisions set out in 25.6.3, 25.6.4, and 25.6.5 apply to him/her as a striker who has a runner. 25.6.3, when a batsman who has a runner is the striker, his/her ground is always at the wicket keeper's end. If the striker who has a runner is in his/her ground and the runner is out of his/her ground at the wicket keeper's end, when the wicket is fairly put down at the end, the conditions of law 38 run out shall apply. 25.6.5, if the striker who has a runner is out of his/her ground and the wicket at the wicket keeper's end is fairly put down, the striker is liable to be out under laws 38 run out or 39 stumped. If the runner is also out of his/her ground at the wicketkeeper's end, then only law 38 can apply. 25.6.6, if a striker who has a runner is dismissed, as in 25.6.5, the umpire shall disallow all runs to the batting side, return any not-out batsman to his/her original end, award any 5-run penalty that is applicable. 25.6.7, when a batsman who has a runner is not the striker, he/she remains subject to law 37, obstructing the field, but is otherwise out of the match, shall stand where directed by the strikers and umpire so as not to interfere with play, will be liable even though out of match, as in 25.6.7, to any penalty demanded by the laws should he/she commit any act of unfair play. 25.7, restriction on the striker's runner. 25.7.1, once the ball comes into play, the runner for an injured batsman who is the striker shall have part of his/her person or bat grounded behind popping crease until the ball reaches the striker or passes the popping crease, whichever is the sooner. 25.7.2, if the strikers and umpire considers the runner for an injured striker to be in breach of this restriction, then if the ball does not become dead for any other reason, he/she shall call and signal dead ball as soon as the ball reaches the boundary or at the completion of first run. However, he/she shall delay the call of dead ball to allow the opportunity for a catch to be completed. Bowlers and umpire shall disallow all runs to the batting side, return any not-out batsman to his/her original end, award any 5-run penalty that is applicable, except for penalty runs under law 28.3, protective helmets belonging to the fielding side.
Runners. If a batsman sustains an injury during the match, he or she is allowed, at the umpire's discretion, to select a runner, another member of the batting team, to do their running between the wickets. The runner should, if possible, be someone who has already batted. The runner must also wear external protective equipment equivalent to that worn by the batsman for whom he or she runs, and must carry a bat. When an injured batsman is the striker, normally the runner stands at square leg and the umpire moves to the offside. If the batsman wants to take a run, the runner and the non-striker do the running. When the injured batsman is the non-striker, he or she has to go and stand at square leg, while the runner takes the normal position at the non-striker's end. To all intents and purposes, the runner will now be regarded as the batsman he or she is running for. They are two become one, and any transgressions of the laws that the runner makes will apply to the injured batsman. Strikers and runners, beware the chaos this can cause. The injured striker's ground is always at the wicket-keeper's end, even if the injured batsman forgets about their runner and tries to hobble a run. Here, for example, the runner is edging out of his or her ground before the ball reaches the striker. This is not permitted and may result in a run-out. If there is no run-out, and if the striker's end umpire considers the runner to be in breach of this restriction, then he or she will call and signal dead ball as soon as the ball reaches the boundary or at the completion of the first run. All runs scored from that ball will be disallowed. For the complete rundown on runners, refer to Law 25 and Law 30 in the Blue Book.
Who is allowed to bat or act as a runner? Only a nominated player. Law 1.2 is allowed to bat or act as a runner. When does the batsman innings commence? For the first two batsmen in the innings or a new batsman coming into bat immediately after a scheduled interruption, usually lunch, tea, or start of a new day's play, their innings commence when the umpire calls play. For all other batsmen, their innings commence when they step onto the field of play, step over the boundary in this. Question. At the start of an innings, the fielder and batsman come onto the ground and begin to prepare for the start of the first over. Before the umpire has called play, there is an unscheduled interruption, most usually caused by weather. During this interruption, the captain of batting side asks whether when play resumes, he can change the two original batsmen for another two nominated players. So, guys, is it yes or no?
Yes.
Can you tell why yes? Yep, you're right. It's when they need to, the umpire has to call the play. When is a nominated player not allowed to bat? If a batsman is absent from the field during his or team's fielding innings, Law 24.2 requires that in most situations, she serves a period of penalty time equal to the time of the absence before she can bat, bowl, or act as a runner. If penalty time remains to be served when player's team batting innings commence, she is not allowed to bat until either the remaining penalty time has passed, maximum 90 minutes, his or team has lost 5 wickets. The penalty time will not expire during scheduled intervals. This includes the 10-minute interval between innings. During an unscheduled stoppage, unless the player advises the umpire, they are available to participate immediately. At the end of an innings, and any unserved time will be carried forward to the next innings. During the remaining time involved in serving any suspension under Law 42.4. Batsman retiring. Batsman may retire his or her innings at any time and must inform the umpires of the reason for doing so. If the retirement is due to injury, illness, or another unavoidable cause agreed with the umpires, the batsman may resume his or her innings following the fall of another wicket or retirement of another batsman. If such a batsman does not resume his or her innings, she will be recorded as retired, not out. If a batsman has retired for any other reason, she may resume the innings only with the permission of the fielding team's captain. If the inning is not resumed, she will be recorded as retired out. So one question for you guys: let's say the batsman is like dehydrated and cannot continue anymore. Do you think it will be considered in scenario 1 or scenario 2? Scenario 1 is retirement is due to injury, illness, or another unavoidable cause. And the second one is if a batsman has retired for any other reason.
I think it's scenario 1, where it's illness,
Well, yes, you can say that. Yeah, but it's not illness, dehydration, like I'll just put it in this way. Let's say it's not dehydration. Let's say it's more like he's just tired. He's just tired. Let's say he ran a lot, he's just tired, and he cannot continue.
That would be scenario 2 because it's just like personal reason. He's just not feeling okay.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Runners. The law gives the batsman who is injured or ill the right to have one of the nominated players to run for him/her. In giving the batsman this right, it is important that the batting side does not gain any unfair advantage. For this reason, the law places considerable restrictions on what the injured batsman and the runner are allowed and are not allowed to do. When is a runner allowed?
Runner not allowed, yeah.
Well, in MCC, I think the runner is allowed as long as there is a serious injury and the batsman is unable to run properly.
Yeah. If the injury has been sustained during the course of the match, as Rahul mentioned in the previous law, that it has to occur in the match, not like if the batsman is carrying on from the last match, which means that they cannot play. They are not fit to play this match, so it has to be during the match.
But I think it says here if the umpire is satisfied, right? Is that correct?
Well, for sure, yeah. You need to. It has to be umpire who is the last judge on that. They can determine if the injury was minor and then they, like if let's say if it's a hamstring, we don't know what happened in the last match, but in this match, they faces that, then for sure the umpire can is the last one to judge that, and they can determine if the batsman is allowed that.
Because since we heard that and we knows that this we only know one law, that's the sure. Okay, all other circumstances the runner is not allowed. That's we only know. But like in this case, if the injury is happened during the game, so we don't know exactly in that what you can is sustain or is continue or if it's during the game. So what's the law says exactly not answer for that.
Yeah, for sure. It's you don't know what happened in the last match. It's just because in our leagues we know the players, so we know more about that. But normally we are not sure about the players, so we the judge the umpire can be the last to determine, and it depends solely on them. Yeah. So who can run for the batsman? The runner must be nominated member of the team, must not be serving a suspension under law 42.4 or have outstanding penalty time to serve. If possible, the runner should be someone who has already batted. This is because the runner will have the chance to witness the playing conditions and the bowling, which might confer an advantage. If this is not possible, usually in case of an opening batsman, the runner should be someone who is not scheduled to bat at the fall of the next few wickets. In the case of an opening batsman needing a runner, ideally the schedule number 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. At the fall of next wicket, the batsman who has been dismissed should immediately replace the runner, as there is now someone available who has already batted. What must the runner wear? The runner must wear equivalent external protective equipment as the batsman and must carry a bat. This ensures that the runner is equally encumbered when running. Runners are not required to wear the same internal protective equipment. Anything worn beneath the clothing, such as thigh pad, a box. Where do the runner and injured striker stand? It is essential that the umpires are not prevented from taking the necessary positions required of them in order to abdicate on all of the laws. For this reason, the umpire will position the injured batsman and the runner as best enables them to do so. Although the laws are not prescriptive on this, the generally accepted practice is injured batsman is on strike. The runner takes up a starting position on the leg side at square leg, while the strikers and umpire moves to the off side. This will give the umpire a clear view of both the injured striker and the runner. injured batsman is not on strike. The injured striker stands behind the umpire in order to minimize the possibility that she comes into contact with the ball or becomes involved in the game. The runner stands at the non-striker end as normal. Yes, Sajid, go ahead, please.
Sorry, Deepak, for interruption. I just remembered one scenario that has always stuck with me. It's from back in the days when we were one league. We were there was a game at Vegar High between Verdun and I think St. Matt's. I remember I was umpiring that game, and runner situation came up. Normally thigh pads are worn inside, but at that particular time, like the batsman, our league, we permit, and I was umpire, and I had not objected, the other captain had not objected, and the batsman was actually wearing the thigh pad outside. So the opponent captain actually said that no, this is visible. So in my judgment, I had told them that normally thigh pads are not. Was I right or wrong in saying that? Because in normally, like thigh pad is worn inside, but in that specific scenario, it was worn outside. So I just wanted to. I never brought that up in an umpiring scenario or question. So I was just wanting to ask.
Yeah, I think it should be again. I have seen people, like abdominal guard. If it's a black, they are thinking that it can be worn outside. It's not allowed. Same for thigh pad also. The equipment should be always inside. If I'm wrong, maybe Rahul and Navneet can.
You're right. You can see in Appendix A 2.2. I've just cross-checked it when you were asking. So for batter, protective helmet, external leg guard, batting gloves, and forearm guards. These are the external protective helmets. Equipments. So whatever they wearing inside, it is their business. They can wear whatever they want, but they cannot wear thigh guard or abdomen guard outside. That will not be.
There was an exceptional circumstance, guys, because back then we used to play in whites and with red ball, and normally thigh pads are white, and back then in that game, Verdun had made a big fuss about it, and I had to ask the runner to wear the thigh pad to get the game going from back then. But at the end of the day, I thought it'd be just interesting to mention, just to bring it up.
Yeah.
It is. I've seen, like as I mentioned, last year one batsman came on to crease, and he had the abdominal guard outside, and I mentioned that you cannot do that, and the batsman told me that it's black. It doesn't have to be black or white. The things that are to be worn inside, they are to be worn inside.
Appreciate your input. Thanks, guys.
What is the injured striker not allowed to do? In addition to all of the other possible methods of dismissal, and this includes being dismissed for obstructing the field when not on strike, the injured batsman when on strike has one additional major restriction she must be aware of. She is not allowed to run, and her ground will always be at the striker's end. This means that whilst the ball is in play, and irrespective of the position of the runner and non-striker, if the injured batsman, when on strike, is out of her ground, the wicket is fairly put down at the striker's end, she will be out, either stumped or run out. When this happens, no runs other than penalties can be scored, irrespective of whether the non-striker and the runner have completed any runs before the run out happens. The umpires need to ensure that the non-striker and the new batsman are the correct ends for the next ball.
If a striker has a runner, his or her ground is always at the striker's end, even if the striker, like this one, despite being injured, ends up running and completing a run. In this situation, had the fielding team put the wicket down at the striker's end, the striker would have been out and no runs scored. even though he had... If a batsman has a runner, the two are treated as one player. So if the runner is run out, like in this example, it is the striker who is dismissed.
What is the runner not allowed to do? When the injured batsman is not on strike, the runner acts for him, her, and is liable to all of the sanctions under all of the laws in the same way any non-striker would be. When the injured batsman is on strike, the runner must stay within the injured striker's ground until the ball reaches the injured striker or passes the popping crease. This is to prevent the runner leaving the ground early to try to gain an advantage. If the runner does leave early and the wicket is fairly put down at the injured striker's end, the injured striker will, on appeal, be given out, run out. Note, in this situation, even when the wicketkeeper acting alone puts the wicket down, the injured striker is still out, run out, not stumped. The injured striker cannot be outstumped as a result of the position of the runner. If the runner does leave early and the wicket is not put down, and should the runner and the non-striker subsequently run, as soon as the ball reaches the boundary or they complete one run, the strikers and umpire will call and signal dead ball. No runs will be scored and the batsmen will be returned to their original ends. The umpire will delay the call of dead ball to enable a catch to be taken if applicable. Any penalty runs will still be scored except if they are as a result of the ball striking a fielder's helmet placed upon the ground.
My top tip.
Questions? An injured striker has a runner. After the ball is hit, all three batsmen run. The fielder throws in the ball and removes a bail from the wicket at the wicketkeeper's end. While all three batsmen are out of their ground, the runner and the non-striker have crossed, but both are short of their ground. Who is out? Injured striker, non-striker, the runner?
The injured striker.
And let's say the non-striker and the runner, they reach the crease. The run will be counted in situation or no? The run will not be counted because it's the injured striker who's out of the crease and it's out, run out. A wicket falls just before the drinks break, which is taken immediately. When does the innings of the new batsman commence? As soon as he/she steps onto the field of play, when he/she is ready to receive his/her first delivery, when the umpire calls play for the resumption of the match.
Enter the ground, is that correct?
Sorry? No. It's C. For enter the ground is, let's say the play is active and the batsman is out, and when the next batsman enter the ground, this is the situation when the batsman who's entering the ground, his innings commences. But when it's resumption of the play, it's a different one. So we have to wait for the umpire to call play for the resumption of the match.
So it's like, when the wicket falls and right away, it's like a drinks time, after that over. But umpire say, okay, we take a break right away. So it means, when the drink break is over, then the inning starts, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Harsh, you have something to add?
No, can you just clear again when the break is finished? So umpire, everybody knows break is finished, but you just mentioned like he have to call play, right? Is that correct? Or because I'm confused, I didn't understand clearly.
It's the resumption of the break. Let's say we are coming back onto the field.
30 minute or 10 minute, whatever. Okay.
Yeah, they came in. So it's like the resumption of the break. So when they are coming back from the break, so the innings of, let's say, as Awais mentioned, that say the wicket fall and we are like, okay, it's a break. So when we are coming back, the next batsman's inning will commence when the umpire says play. No, or not
Play.
when they enter the enter inside the field.
That's correct. So that's what I'm saying. When usually start the game, like same words like umpire say play, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. But
Okay.
their inning starts in the ground when the wicket fall, and then they are the next batsman to enter.
Correct. Okay.
There's two scenarios for the batsman's inning to commence.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Load 26, practice on the field.
Sorry, just a moment. I think Harsh raised his hand.
Yeah, I just raised my hand to say the answer.
So could you just explain what is when does batter's innings commence?
Yeah, so the wicket falls, and if it is a break, you go for the break, and then once the break is over, the batter's innings commence.
When the umpire calls play, if
Yeah,
there is a
umpire.
break, they are coming from a break or opener batting is coming. When the umpire calls play, then the innings commence of the batter commence. So what if a wicket falls and the batter comes in? When does that batter's innings commence?
But it was a break time, right?
If it is not a break time, when does the batter's innings commence?
I mean, whenever the batter is coming in.
Inside the field of play. So those are the situations. It is batter's innings start. Thank you. Harsh.
Okay.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah.
Sorry, can I add one more thing?
Yes.
Each batsman went dismissal, and the new batsman came to the crease. So every time he have to call play, or just the only so because there's two.
No, to call play, it's let's say it's a break. Okay, when we come back onto the field,
That's like
the
I
next
understand.
batsman's inning will commence when the umpire says play.
Okay.
Let's say the wicket, it's the wicket. There's a wicket. Then the next batsman is entering. Their inning commences when they enter the field, not when the umpire will call play.
Okay.
So there's like two situations.
Deepak, sorry, Deepak, can I say something?
Sure.
What I understand with this law, it means like there is a term called timeout. So in situation one, when the batsman enters the field right away, his inning starts. So it means he has a limit of timeout. So if he's not ready, umpire can give. But the second situation, when there is a drink break and any break, so there is no timeout because umpires haven't started the game yet.
True. You're right. Yeah. So load 26, practice on the field. 26.1, practice on the pitch or the rest of the square. There shall not be any practice on the pitch at any time on any day of the match. There shall not be any practice on the rest of the square at any time on any day of the match except with the approval of the umpires. 26.2, practice on the outfield. On any day of the match, all forms of practice are permitted on the outfield before the start of the play, after the close of the play, during the lunch and tea intervals, or between innings, providing the umpires are satisfied that such practice will not cause significant deterioration in the condition of the outfield. 26.2.2, between the call of play and the call of time, practice shall be permitted on the outfield, providing that all of the following conditions are met. Only the fielders are as defined in Appendix A.7 participant in such match. No ball other than the match ball is used for this practice. No bowling practice takes place in the area between the square and the boundary in a direction parallel to the match pitch. The umpires are satisfied it will not contravene either of laws 41.3, match ball changing is its condition, or 41.9, time wasting by the fielding side. 26.3, trial run-up. A bowler is permitted to have a trial run-up provided the umpire is satisfied that it will not contravene either of law 41.9 or 41.12. Penalties for 26.4, penalties for contravention. All forms of practice are subject to provisions of law 41.3, match ball changing is condition 41.9, time wasting by the fielding side 41.12, fielder damaging the pitch 26.4.1. If there is a contravention of any of the provisions of 26.2, 26.1 or 26.2, the umpire shall warn the player that the practice is not permitted. Inform the other umpire as soon as practicable, both captains of the reason for this action. If the contravention is by batsman at the wicket, the umpire shall inform the other batsman and each incoming batsman that the warning has been issued. The warning shall apply to the team of that player throughout the match. 26.4.2. If during the match there is any further contravention by any player of that team, the umpire shall award 5 penalty runs to the opposing side, inform the other umpire the scores as soon as practicable, both captains, and if the contravention is during play, the batsman at the wicket. The umpire together shall report the occurrence as soon as possible after the match to executive of the offending side and to any governing body responsible for the match, who shall take such action as is considered appropriate against the captain, any other individuals concerned, and if appropriate, the team. In order to eliminate the possibility that a team might gain an advantage, the laws require that no practice is allowed on the pitch under any circumstance. On the day of the match, there cannot be any practice on other parts of the square unless the umpire have given their approval. Sometimes a separate pitch has been prepared for this purpose. Practice on the outfield is allowed before and after play and during intervals, provided that the umpires do not think this will cause damage to the outfield.
During play, there are strict conditions on when and where players can practice. But before the start of play, they may practice on the square, though not on the pitch, with the approval of the umpires. Here, for example, before play has started for the day, a set of stumps has been set up away from the pitch to allow the bowlers to practice.
Yep, so on the wicket, practice on the outfield during the course of the game, including at the fall of a wicket, is allowed within certain restriction. Practice during the course of play must only involve the players, must only use the match ball, but not change its condition, and must not waste time. Any practice bowling that is parallel to the pitch, no matter how far towards the boundary, is not allowed. A bowler warming up and bowling deliveries to a fielder while the side screen was being moved would be acceptable as long as the umpires were happy that the ball was not being damaged.
Practice on the field during play is allowed as long as it only involves the match ball, but not damaging it. It is done by players already involved in the game, and it is not deemed by the umpires to be wasting time. Here, for example, the bowler is perfectly entitled to bowl a practice delivery to his teammate while he waits for the batsman to be ready for the next delivery.
Penalty: in the event that a member of either side breaches these restrictions, umpire will issue a warning applicable to whole team for the rest of the match. Any further breaches will result in award of 5-run penalty to the opposition. In addition, during the course of any practice, teams are capable of being penalized under laws, match ball changes condition, time wasting, damaging the pitch.
My top tip.
Questions? Which of the following actions on the field is never allowed? Bowler having a trial run-up, practicing on the match pitch, bowling practice on the square. Any volunteer?
I think B.
Yeah. Before the start of play on the day of the match, in which of the following forms of practice can the players partake? Practice bowling on the match pitch, practice bowling on the rest of square without the umpire's approval, bowling and catching, practice on the outfield.
I think it's C. Bowling and practice outfield.
Yeah. Okay. 27, the wicket keeper.
Law 27, the wicket.
Wicketkeeper, 27.1, protective equipment. Wicketkeeper is the only fielder permitted to wear gloves and external leg guards. If these are worn, they are to be regarded as part of his/her person for purposes of Law 28.2, fielding the ball. If by the wicketkeeper's action and positioning when the ball comes into play, it is apparent to the umpire that he/she will not be able to carry out the normal duties of a wicketkeeper, he/she shall forfeit this right and also the right to be recognized as wicketkeeper for the purposes of Law 33.2, a fair catch, stumped, protecting 28.1, protecting equipment, 28.4, limitation of onside fielders, 28.5, fielders not to encroach on pitch, 27.2, gloves if as permitted under 27.1. Wicketkeeper wears gloves. They shall have no webbing between the fingers except joining index finger and thumb, where webbing may be inserted as a means of support. If used, the webbing shall be single piece of non-stretch material, which, although it may have facing material attached, shall have no reinforcements or tucks. The top edge of the webbing shall not protrude beyond the straight line joining the top of the index finger to the top of the thumb, and shall be taut when a hand wearing the glove has the thumb fully extended. See appendix E. Position of the umpire of the wicketkeeper. The wicketkeeper shall remain wholly behind the wicket at the striker's end from the moment the ball comes into play until a ball delivered by the bowler touches the bat or person of striker, or passes the wicket at the striker's end, or the striker attempts a run. In the event of wicketkeeper contravening this law, the strikers and umpires shall call and signal no ball as soon as applicable after the delivery of the ball. Movement by wicketkeeper. After the ball comes into play and before it reaches the striker, it is unfair if the wicketkeeper significantly alters his or her position in relation to striker's wicket, except for the following: movement of few paces forward for a slower delivery, unless in so doing it brings him or her within the reach of the wicket; lateral movement in response to the direction in which the ball has been delivered; the movement in response to the stroke that the striker is playing, that his or her actions suggest he/she intends to play. However, the provisions of Law 27.3 shall apply. 27.4.2. In the event of unfair movement by the wicketkeeper, either umpire shall call and signal dead ball. Restrictions on actions of wicketkeeper. If, in opinion of either umpire, the wicketkeeper interferes with the striker's right to play the ball and to guard his or her wicket, Law 20.4.2.6, umpire calling and signal dead ball shall apply. If, however, either umpire considers that the interference by the wicketkeeper was willful, then Law 41.4, deliberate attempt to distract striker, shall also apply. Interference with wicketkeeper by striker. If in playing at the ball or in legitimate defense of his or her wicket, the striker interferes with the wicketkeeper, he/she shall not be out except as provided for in Law 37.3, obstructing a ball from being caught. The law allows that one fielder is given the right to wear external leg guards and gloves, but this person is then required to act as a wicketkeeper and must always be in the appropriate position for that role when the ball comes into play. If the wicketkeeper goes and stands on the boundary, even if it is directly behind the stumps, or moves somewhere else in the field, he/she is no longer to be regarded as the wicketkeeper. If that person then fields the ball using their leg guards or gloves, this is illegal fielding, and the same penalties described for a fielder will apply. There are specific regulations relating to gloves of wicketkeeper is allowed to wear, particularly regarding any webbing between the fingers. No webbing, as you can see over here, there's a webbing between the fingers. Single piece of non-stretch material between the finger and thumb as a means of support. When a hand wearing the glove has the thumb fully extended, the top edge being taut and not protruding beyond the straight line joining the top of the index finger to the top of the thumb. Fielders are not allowed to encroach onto the pitch before the batsman has had a chance to play the ball. The wicketkeeper faces similar restrictions. The wicketkeeper must stay completely behind the stump from the time the bowler commences his run-up until the striker hits the ball hits the striker, or it passes the wicket. This requirement includes the wicketkeeper's gloves and even the peak of worn cap or helmet. In the event of any part of wicketkeeper moving in front of the wicket, as you can see over here, prior to this, the strikers and umpire will call no ball as soon as possible after the bowler delivers the ball. The wicketkeeper is not allowed to significantly change position once the bowler commences his run-up. A wicketkeeper standing back from stump may advance to pace or two, but not too far, and certainly not to point where the stumps are brought within reach. If wicketkeeper does move too far, either umpire will immediately call and signal that ball.
Just one.
The wicketkeeper.
So this is not updated for the latest version. So it is not just dead ball when there is unfair movement by wicketkeeper. It is also 5 penalty runs.
Oh.
So it's dead ball, 5 penalty runs. Then you have to follow the inform the captain and the governing body and everything. Yes.
The can move slightly once the bowler has entered his or her run-up, but may not significantly change position. Here, for example, the wicketkeeper moves from standing back to standing up while the bowler is running up. This is not allowed.
So in the first, where is dead ball, it's 5-run penalties, as mentioned by Navneet.
Yes.
Dead ball should be called. However, in this second example, he merely takes a few steps forward. This is not a significant change and is permitted.
However, that the wicketkeeper is allowed to move in reaction to where the ball is heading or in response to any movement by the striker suggesting an intended shot. This is covered in more depth in next law, 28.
If the wicketkeeper notices that a batsman is preparing to play a particular shot, he or she may adjust their position to react. Here, the wicketkeeper moves to his left while the batsman is preparing to sweep and is thus able to catch him out. That is perfectly legal.
Often the wicketkeeper and the striker will quite close together, but interference between the two is relatively uncommon. The striker is allowed to play the ball and defend his or her wicket with a second strike, provided such a strike does not prevent the wicketkeeper from taking a catch. However, if it does prevent a catch being taken, the striker will be out under law 37.3. Wicketkeeper must not distract the striker. If this is done accidentally, either umpire will call and signal dead ball, and then again it goes with deliberate attempt to distract the striker. So there's a penalty of 5 runs also. If the distraction is considered deliberate,
not if it is accidentally.
Oh, sorry, it's there's a word in there, deliberate. If it's a deliberate, then there's a penalty of 5 runs. Questions? In which one of the following situation is the wicketkeeper not allowed to move in front of the wicket before the ball has passed the wicket? The striker starts to run, the ball delivered touches the striker's bat, ball delivered touches the striker's bat but not his or her bat. The striker misses the ball and attempts to regain his or her ground. Any volunteer?
Deliver the ball.
Sorry, which one?
Deliver the ball.
No, it's the striker misses the ball and attempts to regain his or her ground.
So we call the no ball.
Yeah. The bowler is in his run-up. In which of the following ways is the wicketkeeper allowed to move from his or her original position behind the stumps? From the offside to leg side, because the bowler signal she is going to bowl there, the striker has not moved. From the offside to the leg side, because the striker changes his or her position for a switch hit down the leg side. From 2 yards behind the stump, up the stumps for a stumping. Any volunteer?
Can you repeat again, please? So we
Yes,
understand.
whilst the bowler is in his run-up,
Yeah.
in which of the following ways is the wicketkeeper allowed to move from his or her original position behind the stumps? From the offside to leg side, because the bowler signals she is going to bowl there. The striker has not moved. from the offside to leg side because the striker changes his or her position for a switch hit down the leg side from 2 yards behind the stumps up the stumps for a stumping. It's B. I remember we saw the video when the guy was trying to scoop the ball. So then the wicketkeeper is allowed to move.
I think the distinction here in this question, like the throwaway, for example, for A, it says the bowler signal.
Signals.
So in terms of bowler signaling, that obviously cannot be permitted. So like you said, Deepak, it has to be in case of the striker changing his or her position.
To play the ball. This law is very important. Law 28, the fielder.
Law 28.
Excuse me, I'd just like to clear one thing. If you, sorry to interrupt, sir.
No worries.
Is that possible? I can ask a question?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's in the event of unfair movement of the wicketkeeper, either umpire shall call and sign dead ball and inform the other umpire of the reason of doing so. Can you please clarify this? Because I totally don't understand that dead ball. Because I forget the name. He said 5 plenty also runs. Give to the.
Navneet said that. Yes.
Yeah. So, like as he mentioned, these laws are not updated because I think these
Updated.
laws are from 2017. So there was an I think there was an update after that. So they started. The law says that there will be a penalty of 5 runs because the wicketkeeper is taking unfair advantage also, and that's why they signal it dead ball. So the law says that there will be a 5-run penalties against the fielding time. So it will be awarded to the batting side if the wicketkeeper is found guilty of this, like taking unfair advantage and running towards the wicket before the and trying to take the unfair advantage.
Okay. I'd like to understand this. So this is goes in towards the movement, or because most of the time some part of the gloves or I mean the keeper before he delivered the ball, so that we call no ball. That's
no ball.
that's
Just no
different. But this is regarding the movement, right?
Yeah. Like let's say like wicketkeeper is standing like in their normal position, and they when the bowler is bowling, they run and they come close to the wicket because the wicket the batsman outside of the crease. So let's say the wicketkeeper shows that see that, and they when the bowler is bowling, they try to run and come behind the wicket. They are trying to. Yeah, go ahead.
So that's not a no ball.
That's no, that's not a no ball. That's a dead ball, and because they are trying.
That's a dead ball. That's something new for me. That's why I like to confirm that.
Yeah, but well, nobody does that in play, but in case
no, it happen. It do happen in our local cricket. A lot of like they knew they don't know the law, and they start moving upwards, this and that. So they do have this habit, but I never thought it's like just a dead ball. But he says the law is not updated, so it should be 5 plenty runs in the future.
They're allowed to come 1 or 2 steps forward because sometimes the wicket keepers they take stance, like they come one step ahead and then they take stance. That is normal. They're not trying to take unfair advantage, but like as I mentioned, if they're trying to come close to the wicket, that's an unfair advantage to them.
Okay, I got it. I so it's clear that. Okay.
Perfect. So yeah, 28.1 protective equipment. No fielder other than the wicketkeeper shall be permitted to wear gloves or external leg guards. In addition, protection for the hand or fingers may be worn only with the consent of the umpires. Fielding the ball. A fielder may field the ball with any part of his or person. Except as in 28.2.1.2. However, she will be deemed to have fielded the ball illegally if, while the ball is in play, she willfully uses anything other than part of his or person to field the ball, extend his or clothing with his or hands, and uses this to field the ball, discards a piece of clothing, equipment, or any other object which subsequently makes contact with the ball. Like, let's say you throw your cap to stop the ball. It is 28.2.2. It is not illegal fielding if the ball in play makes contact with piece of clothing, equipment, or any other object which has accidentally fallen from the fielder's person. If a fielder illegally fields the ball shall immediately become dead, and the penalty for a no ball or a wide shall stand. Any runs completed by batsmen shall be credited to the batting side, together with the run in progress if the batsman had already crossed at the instant of the offense. The ball shall not count as one of the over. In addition, the umpire shall award 5 penalty runs to the batting side, inform the other umpire, the captain of fielding side, of the reason for this action, inform the batsman as soon as practicable, the captain of the batting side, of what has occurred. The umpires together shall report the occurrence as soon as possible after the match to the executive of the offending side and to any governing body responsible for the match, who shall take such action as is considered appropriate against the captor, any other individual concerned, and if appropriate, the team. 28.3. Protective helmets belonging to the fielding side. Protective helmets, when not in use by the fielders, may not be placed on ground above the surface except behind the wicketkeeper and in line with both set of stumps. If the ball while in play strikes a helmet placed as described in 28.3.1, the ball shall become dead and subject to 28.3.3. 28.3.2.2, an award of 5 penalty runs shall be made to the batting side. Any runs completed by the batsman before the ball strikes the protective helmet shall be scored, together with the run in progress if batsman had already crossed at the instant of the ball striking the protective helmet. 28.3.3. The ball while in play strikes a helmet placed as described in 28.3.1 unless the circumstances of 23.3. This is very important. So when, as I mentioned, that when we don't award the leg bias if the batsman is not trying to hit the ball, or in that scenario, if the ball hits the helmet, the penalty runs are not awarded. Or law 34, hit the ball twice. Apply. The umpire shall permit the batsman runs as in 28.3.2.3 to be scored. Signal no ball or wide ball to the scorers if applicable. Award 5 penalty runs as in 28.3.2.2. Award any other penalty runs applicable. 28.3.4. If the ball while in play strikes a helmet placed as described in 28.3.1 and the circumstances of law 23.3, leg bias not to be awarded. Or law 34, hit the ball twice, the umpire shall disallow all runs to the batting side, return any not out batsman to his or original end, signal no ball or wide ball to the scorer if applicable, award any 5-run penalty that is applicable except for penalty runs under 28.3.2. Limitation of onside fielders. At the instant of bowler's delivery, there shall not be more than 2 fielders other than the wicketkeeper behind the popping crease on the onside. A fielder will be considered to be behind the popping crease unless the whole of his or person, whether grounded or in the air, is in front of this line. In the event of infringement of this law by any fielder, the strikers and umpire shall call and signal no ball. So let's say if the umpire is not able to have like proper view of how many fielders are behind the popping crease, they can move to the offside to have like a good view to see, and because sometimes they might not be able to see and the fielder is behind them. So in that case, they can move to offside. 28.5, fielders not to encroach on pitch while the ball is in play and until the ball has made contact with the striker's bat or person or has passed the striker's bat. No fielder other than the bowler may have any part of his or person grounded on or extended over the pitch. In the event of infringement of this law by any fielder other than the wicketkeeper, the bowlers and umpire shall call and signal no ball as soon as possible after the delivery of ball. Note, however, law 27.3, position of wicketkeeper. 28.6, movement by any fielder other than the wicketkeeper. Any movement by any fielder excluding the wicketkeeper after the ball comes into play and before the ball reaches the striker is unfair except for the following: minor adjustment to stance or position in relation to striker's wicket, movement by any fielder other than a close fielder towards the striker or the striker's wicket that does not significantly alter the position of fielder, movement by any fielder in response to the stroke that the striker is playing or that his or actions suggest he she intends to play. 28.6.2, in all circumstances, law 28.4, limitation of onside fielders shall apply. In the event of such unfair movement, either umpire shall call and signal dead ball. Note also the provisions of law 41.4, deliberate attempt to distract striker. See also law 27.4, movement by wicketkeeper.
So here also, it's dead ball and also 5 penalty runs for unfair movement of the fielder.
Yeah.
So that has to be noted. Since it's an old law, it's in 2017, but there is an update in 2019 and 22. So field unfair movement of fielder, 5 penalty runs to the batting side.
Yeah, and it's a
Just
very
an FYI
important
here.
question.
Sorry, Deepak and
Yeah,
Navneet, I wanted to add the MCA folks, like I had sent the email detailing the updated laws, even Tom Smith's 2022 version. So thanks, Navneet. Rahul, thanks for sharing. Appreciate that. So guys, please consult the resources. It's already in your inboxes for your emails, the PDF copies of the booklets of the updated 2022 version. So just an FYI that, and thanks Navneet for pointing these things out. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So yeah, the wicketkeeper is the only fielder who is permitted to wear gloves or external leg guards. Any fielder may wear a helmet, but other protective equipment worn by anyone except the wicketkeeper must be worn under their clothes. As you can see, the fielder is wearing inside; it's not outside. So the wicketkeeper is the only one to have it externally. Question: what does the law allow fielders to willfully use when fielding the ball? Their clothing, their hat, a discarded wicketkeeper's glove, none of the above. Any volunteer?
Cannot be any of the above.
Correct. So yeah, see, I think we have seen Babar doing he wore the glove of Rizwan, and there was a penalty of 5 runs in that scenario. I don't know if anybody has seen that.
Yeah, I remember that. I have a question. Nowadays we see, as we were mentioned before, that only the wicketkeeper is allowed to have gloves and protective stuff. But we see, Hardik Pandya, he wears specific kind of finger protection gloves.
Yeah, that's
Is
true.
it
That
allowed?
was pointed out. Yeah, but I think it depends on the umpire. Umpire has to say, as we saw in the I think 28 points initially, they say that if they wear any kind of tape, or that doesn't look like a tape, but a different thing, it has to be done by the consent of the umpire. So maybe he's getting a consent of the umpires for
Because
that.
I was curious, so I just make my research on it. It's called like a palm protector, which
Yeah, they
which protects your.
do practice fielding.
Yeah, it protects your fingers, while you're catching. Sometimes the ball hit between your fingers and you have a big rupture, and then it goes. So it just protects that one, for those serious catches.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering, is it permitted, or there needs to be special kind of permission for that?
For me, I think it's the consent of the umpire. Namni, do you have any?
Yeah,
input?
it is. In general, even I am surprised he's wearing it for a longer period. Generally, if there is a sustained injury, maybe he can get the consent from the umpire. So I don't particularly know the situation of Hardik Pandya, what is happening, but fielders cannot, if there is an injury and to protect aggravating the injury, fielders can wear it. But there is no injury just for the sake of protecting their fingers from naturally ball hitting the hand, it cannot be allowed. So
Because
that
we,
law is
Navneet,
like that.
I just mentioned, because we have a player, and almost every season he always, ruptures his hand from between two middle fingers, and he has like maybe several times 7 stitches between the fingers. So I was just wondering, like, is it for that, because that glove is only for that, it protects your fingers and your
Uh-huh,
joints.
uh-huh.
Maybe the fielder
Yeah,
can go with the
maybe.
tape. That's more convenient, and doesn't give unfair advantage rather than a glove like Hardik.
Yeah, whatever Hardik is wearing, I think it's a very special situation. We cannot just people cannot see that and start wearing it just for the sake of wearing it. Only if it is a special situation and if some specific injury, sustained injury is there, then it might be allowed. As you said, you have a player who is regularly injured. Maybe that can be allowed, but it is not for every match for
Recommended.
everybody. Yeah.
I think he also, as Naveed mentioned earlier, have to get the permission of the umpires. The umpires have to be aware of it before they go onto the field.
Yeah.
And in this situation, such it with your player, you should ask or tell the player to make sure you mention it to the umpires that this is a occurrence and he's protecting his finger.
Got it.
Absolutely,
Perfect. Thanks very much.
Can I ask one question about the fielding, sir?
Sure, go ahead.
Close fielding. For example, we have a close fielding like I'm not talking about silly point or this. I'm talking about there's a 30-yard circle, and after that you have another circle, like for example, close fielder. So during the ball, so if they have a certain movement, if it's toward the batsman, I understand, but if it's like going left and right in that particular time when the ball is delivering the ball. So what's the plenty of that? I mean, just a warning or?
Well, I think in this situation it's a no ball, but it can come under
Not a
like
no ball. That's
I don't think
get the ball
the
and give 5
Not a
penalty.
no ball. Yeah.
I don't think the fielder can move left or
It comes
right.
under unfair play.
Yeah,
So
he can't move.
a fielder cannot
Distraction.
move. A fielder cannot move left or right
right.
when
He
the
has to
ball
move.
comes into the play. So he can move like front and back, but that's not a no ball anymore. You just have to deem as like unfair play, and 5 penalty runs would be awarded to the batting
And
side.
what we are telling is the laws or the playing condition also says the same in this scenario. But if it is a slight movement, player is not aware of it, you can give an unofficial. Any unfair play, we don't want to penalize. We are not there to penalize any players.
Right.
We can give some unofficial warning, but there is no warning in the law. So if it is really unfair and if you have to award it, then you award 5 penalty runs. You cannot do anything about it, but you don't have to be very strict
Yeah,
or
if in the umpire's opinion it is not deliberate or malicious, then you as umpires you don't have to say it out loudly for everybody to hear, but you will call you will call the captain to inform him that fielder is moving illegally, and this is from doing it. But if it is if in umpire's opinion it is deliberate and distracting, then you will award it. But you don't want to go into the game, as Navneet said, to keeping awarding penalties, but you will silently tell them that it's not legal to move in that direction.
And this is not the law. This is advice from a match management perspective.
Yes,
The
from
law
match
says
management
you award
perspective.
5 penalty runs. There is no warning given for
For
this.
example, you award 5 penalty runs, but meanwhile, at the same point, the batsman got caught out. So he's out, or he's going to be a dead ball or something else.
No, you'll call dead ball. That ball will not be counted.
It's the distraction of
Happens.
a striker deliberately.
It could be a distraction also, but even if it is not a distraction, it happens before the batter plays the ball. So you call and signal dead ball immediately, and so that ball will not be
And plus
counted.
5 penalty runs.
Okay, just quickly one more question regarding the fielder. So, is this any circle or any yard, 2 yard, or I mean, what's the length or what's the measurement about the fielder should not move except that the close fielding? Except the close fielding, what fielder, I mean, could not move? For example, sometime very weird fielder standing around nearby bowler or striker end. So, is there any measurement about that?
Yeah. There is no specific measurement in law that mentions close fielders, but but less than 15 yards are generally considered as close, but it is not that is just for a guidance. Generally, slip fielders, silly point, short leg, these are the close fielders, or even covers sometimes come in front and stand in catching position. So these are all close in fielders. There is no specific law that is dictating how many yards is close and not close. It is again up to the judgment of the umpire.
I mean, stay solid. That is mean. That's my question. Stay solid when the bowler is delivering the ball. That time they should stay solid. That's my question.
Yes, they should stay solid.
Just one step forward or something like that.
It is the umpire's judgment is if it's too close, because you're thinking about the fielder's safety. So, and that player should be stationary, not moving.
If you are standing in slip and walking like 5 steps forward, then that is that can be considered as unfair movement. That is like 5-6 steps forward. But just say very close, like a slip fielder just moving up 1 or 2 steps forward, like that wicketkeeper video showed, then that is allowed.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I understand. Thank you.
So just as an addendum to what Mr. Roach and Navneet just said, Tony bhai, this when it's to your own discretion as the umpire. There's no hard law like 15 yard. We talk about it for close fielding, but at the end of the day, it's like Mr. Roach said, it's to your discretion, your judgment as an umpire to make sure that this is permissible. So you will be the judge of that. But as per the close fielding in the blue book or the laws, it says close fielders. There's no specific measurement. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Here, the wicket-keeper has not deliberately used his glove to field the ball. However, he has willfully discarded his glove, which then makes contact with the ball. It is the willful nature of the removal of the glove that makes this illegal fielding, and so 5 penalty runs are awarded. If the glove was hit...
Yeah, penalty for illegal fielding. Ball immediately becomes dead, although the players are unlikely to know this, and umpires are advised to call and signal dead ball. Any penalty run for wide no ball will count. 5 penalty runs awarded to the batting side. Runs completed and the run in progress, if the batsmen have crossed, will count. The ball will not count as one of the over. The advise both captains and the other umpire of the region report the event to the authority responsible for the game. Ooh, illegal fielding.
In this example, the player's hat has fallen off and is then hit by the ball. As the removal of the hat from the body was not willful, this does not count as illegal fielding and the ball remains in play.
So, as they mentioned, this is not illegal fielding because it was dropped accidentally and was not deliberate attempt by the fielder. Fielder's helmet. When not being worn, fielder's helmet must be placed on the ground immediately behind wicketkeeper, in line with the wicket.
Here, the ball strikes an unworn helmet behind the wicketkeeper. When this happens, the ball becomes dead and 5 penalty runs are awarded to the batting side, unless it's followed a situation when all runs would be disallowed, such as attempted leg byes when the striker did not attempt to hit the ball.
Yeah. Should the ball hit a helmet on the ground, as again, ball immediately becomes dead, any penalty run for wide no ball will count. Runs completed and the run in progress, if the batsman have crossed, will count. 5 penalty runs awarded to the batting side. As there's an exception the exception to this is when the ball hits the helmet after any of the following 3 scenarios: ball being hit twice illegally, from a ball that would normally mean leg bias would be disallowed when they don't try to hit the ball or go for the shot if the injured striker's runner has left his ground early. Fielder positions and movement. There are restrictions on where fielders can be and on their movement in the time between the start of bowler's run up and the ball reaching the striker. Until the ball is delivered, no more than 2 fielders, excluding the wicketkeeper, are allowed to be behind the popping crease on the leg side. Here, 3 fielders behind the popping crease on the leg side. Note the umpire has moved to the offside to enable a better view of this. Until the batsman has had chance to play the ball, the fielders are not allowed to encroach onto the pitch. In both cases, whether on the ground or in the air, it only requires any part of a fielder to be behind the crease or over the pitch to breach this law. If there are more than 2 fielders behind the popping crease on the leg side, the strikers and umpire will call and signal no ball as the bowler releases the ball. If a fielder encroaches onto the pitch, the bowlers and umpire will do the same.
Fielders are not allowed to stand on the pitch before and as the striker receives the ball. This footage predates this law, and you can see how close the fielders got. They must now stay off the pitch, which is 10 feet wide, until the ball reaches the striker.
Fielders are not allowed to significantly alter their position once the bowler has begun his run-up. They can adjust their position slightly, and if not, a close fielder may move towards the striker's end wicket, known as walking in. However, they are not allowed to move sideways, to move backwards, to run in, or move a significant distance towards the striker until the ball reaches the striker. Either umpire will call and signal dead ball if any fielder moves unfairly.
Also 5 penalty runs.
Yeah, also 5 penalty runs.
Can I add one question quickly, sir?
Sure, go ahead, please.
If in the second innings going on, and that happened like 5 plenty runs. So what happened in that scenario?
Well, it will be awarded to the batting side.
So the batting side scored 100, your target is 101, your target will become 106 after that.
Okay.
And in that case, the game result would be won by penalty runs.
If you are winning based on
solely, right.
You score 103 all out and the team is 100 plus 5 penalty runs, they score 2 runs ahead by penalty runs. So the result would be team may bat at first, won by penalty runs.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
The only exception to this is if fielder's movement is in response to movement by the striker. Such a reaction is allowed if umpire considers that the fielder's movement was justified based on the shot that the striker was shaping to play.
As we saw with the wicketkeeper, a fielder is allowed to move to respond to a movement by the striker. Here, the fielder is permitted to run from slip to leg slip as soon as a batsman shapes to play the sweep shot, taking an excellent catch.
Law 28, the fielder.
Questions? Question. As the bowler is running in to deliver the ball, a close fielder has edged forward and now has a foot on the edge of the pitch. What should the umpire do? Call and signal dead ball immediately. Call and signal no ball as soon as the bowler delivers the ball. Do nothing. Any volunteer?
Dead ball.
Are you sure? It's fielder's foot coming on the pitch. It should be no ball. As we mentioned, they cannot have any part of their body on the pitch. The dead ball is for the movement. This is like when they are very close to the pitch and it's a close fielder.
Okay, like silly points. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, as they mentioned in the video from the old times that they were used to do that, but it is not allowed anymore. A fielder may field the ball with any part of his or her person. What is included in his her person? His her body only, his her body, his her clothes, any protective equipment. His her body, his her cloth, but not his her protective equipment.
B.
Anyone else? Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so we are done with law 28. Rahul, are you there?
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Deepak. So we completed Law 28, fielders and substitutes, and now we will be. Deepak, I'll share. I think yeah. Let me actually do this way. Okay, so share. Tab. I hope everybody can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay. So
Rahul, you're sharing screen or window?
I actually shared the window.
Okay.
Because I have like two other different tabs that I want to switch through, but
Okay.
I think
But if you share the entire screen, audio might not be coming.
So
But okay, we'll see. I think it should be fine.
I just shared the window, so just
Okay. That should be good.
If any of the videos doesn't work, let me know.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Okay, all right, everyone. So I'm going to cover Law 29 to 40. So basically, so these are some of the important dates, like which Navneet mentioned at the start. This was like a training session schedule. Deepak covered from 24 to 28, and we'll be covering appeals and dismissals, Law 29 to 40 today.
So sorry, you quickly go to the important dates. We have not explained properly. So April 13th, we have our umpiring examination that I mentioned last week. Now the registrations are open. I hope everyone got the link. So I have got some 6 or 7 registrations only so far. So people who have not registered, please register. And umpire training online workshop by Cricket Canada is March 23 and March 30.
Oh, March 23 and 30?
Yes,
Okay.
March 23 and March 30 it will be. So that will be taken by Cricket Canada. I think Mr. Rohan Shah will be handling that session. And yeah, thank you, Rahul. You can carry on.
And Navneet, and that session is online, not in person.
Yeah, that is online.
And what time? What times, please?
It's starting at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. 4-hour session is what is planned. And I'll put out a message after today's session. I'll put out the message sent by Rohan Shah to me. I'm supposed to forward it to everybody. But the information is March 23 and March 30th, and 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. is the timing. I'll forward the details to you.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's go learn about Law
Navneet,
29.
I just have a quick question. Few people had brought up to me on the MCA front for the there is a possibility of Eid happening on Sunday or Monday, right?
Oh,
so
okay.
if, for example, if it happens to be Eid on Sunday, the 30th of March, can someone who's registered to write the exam, is it mandatory for them to attend the session with Mr. Rohan Shah, or they can just be late, or maybe,
Yeah, it is
that
recommended
one
to
session?
attend, but it will not stop you from writing the exam just based on this.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, so let's quickly go to appeals and dismissals. There are 9 mode of dismissals that we are going to be covering today. And okay, skip instructions. Okay, so law 29, the wicket is down. So when is the wicket down? So we all know like the wicket is usually made up of like 3 stumps and 2 bails, right? So the wicket is down if a bail is completely removed from the top of the stumps or a stump is struck out of the ground. So these conditions can either be by the ball, by the striker's bat, if held, or by any part of the bat that she is holding. So even like a little piece of the bat can get loose and still hit and remove the bail. That is also be considered as wicket is put down. And for the purpose of this law, by the striker's bat not in hand or by any part of the bat which has become detached, which I just mentioned. By the striker's person or any part of his clothing, equipment becomes detached. So a lot of batters wear like these helmets. The grill can become detached and fall onto the stumps. That could also be considered as wicket is down. By a fielder using his her hand or arm, providing that the ball is actually held in the hand or hands so used or in the hand of the arm. So if the ball is in the hand, like from the arm from the shoulder, like this whole part of the arm can be used to break the wickets. And then the wicket is also put down if if a fielder strikes or pulls out a stump out of the ground. So like in windy conditions, when we play without bails, when there are no bails, then that time even like the ball touching the wickets is also considered as wicket is put down. The disturbance of a bail, whether temporary or not, shall not constitute its complete removal from the stumps. So basically, if the bail doesn't completely remove from the grooves that they set in, it's not complete removal from the top of the stump. So that would not be considered as wicket is put down. But if a bail falls, but if a bail in falling lodges between the 2 stumps, this shall be regarded as complete removal. So ideally, wicket would be put down when the bails remove from its grooves. It doesn't have to fall onto the ground. It can get stuck into the wickets as well. One bail off. If one bail is off, it shall be sufficient for the purpose of putting the wicket down to remove the remaining bail. So in case if there is an event where one bail is already down and another run-out attempt is happening, you just have to remove the other bail. That would also be considered as wicket is put down. Remaking the wicket. So during play, if both the bails are down, you can replace the bails on top of the stumps and then break it one more time to inflict a run out. That would be wickets put down as well. Or put back one of more stumps into ground, because sometimes the bails have flown far away. So you want to inflict another run out. So you can take the stumps if they are on the ground. You can put it back into the ground and inflict the wicket run out as well. That would also be termed as wickets put down. Dispensing with bails. So as I mentioned, when we play with windy conditions, that time we don't play with bails. So the wicket will be just put down if the umpire is satisfied that the wicket has been struck by the ball. What else? Any fielder may replace a stump or stumps in accordance with 29.3 that we mentioned in order to have the opportunity of putting the wicket down. So fairly straightforward. So let's
You don't hear the audio.
Can you hear the audio or no?
You play again, I'll confirm. No, there's no audio.
There's no audio, right? So I think what I need to do is I would have to 1 second.
I think you're sharing entire screen.
No, actually I shared the window.
Okay, because there is mirroring which happens when you share the entire screen.
Okay. So let's just. I think now you should be able to hear the video audio. 1 second.
By the batsman's
Yes,
bat
good
if
now.
he or she lets go of it, or even by some flying part of a bat if it breaks, by the batsman's clothing or body, or some part of his or her equipment falling off, by a fielder with his or her hand or arm, providing the same hand is holding the ball. If the bail merely bounces and comes to rest back on the stumps, then that is not out. The wicket is down at the precise moment that both ends of either bail are removed from the stumps. Right about now. Should you have further questions on this tricky subject, such as how to put the wicket down when one or both bails have already been removed, head over to Law 29 in MCC's The Laws of Cricket.
So as we saw, these are the events in which wicket is put down. This talks about the same thing that we covered in the law, that there are 2 bails and 3 stumps which constitute a wicket, and in what conditions they are broken. Let's see this
Remember,
video.
for the wicket to be put down, a bail needs to be removed from the top of the stumps. Merely temporarily dislodging a bail, as here, is not enough if the bail then falls back into the groove.
So in this situation, the bail just like came off the groove and went back into the groove again. So that means that the wicket is not put down, so the batsman deemed not out. So when is the wicket fairly put down? When the fielder throws the ball and 1 bail falls. That is the right condition. When both the bails are off, the wicket is fairly put down. If there is 1 bail already down but 1 bail already there, so you can remove that we discussed. If the stump is removed from the ground, wicket is fairly put down. And also so in case if there is no bails and the 3 stumps are there, some fielder can put one of the bail on top of the stumps and then inflict another run out with the ball in the hand, and using that hand to inflict that breakage is also termed as wicket put fairly down. Okay, can this be deemed as because the bails have come out of the groove, but the bails have still stayed on top of the stump? So in this case, the wicket is not fairly put down. The batsman will still be very, very lucky, but it would be still not out. Again, as I said, the bails doesn't have to fall directly onto the ground. They can get stuck into these wickets like this. In this case, since the bail is removed from the grooves of the stumps, then the wicket is fairly put down in this case as well. So this is the right way to put down the wicket, with the ball in the hand and then removing one of the bails. Or as I mentioned, this from the shoulder, so the whole length of the arm. So the ball in this arm holding the ball, and you can even use your elbow to break the wickets. That is still allowed within the laws of the game. So when is the wicket not fairly put down? When you can see on the left side, you have like the ball on the left hand, but the fielder took out the stumps from the right hand. That is not the right way to put the wicket down. Also, on the right side, the fielder has the ball in his hand, then he's using his leg to inflict that breaking of the wickets, which is also not the right way. It has to be with the ball or the hand holding the ball until the arm, right, as we discussed. In windy conditions, as we know, just ball touching is wicket fairly put down.
Law 29, the wicket is down. My top tip on this law is to try to keep the game as normal as possible in high winds. Umpires are able to use heavy bails to achieve this, but if this is not possible, it's okay to remove the bails from both ends. However, under these circumstances, the umpire is only looking for disturbance in order to judge the wicket as being down.
Yeah, the same thing endorsed by Mr. Simon Toffel. Same thing that we discussed. Reflective questions for this law. If the wicket is broken or put down during play, when should the umpire remake the wicket? As soon as possible, when the ball is dead, when requested to by the fielding side. What do you guys think? Any takers for this question?
It's B. Ball is to be dead.
Yeah, when the ball is dead, there is no further play happening, then the umpires are supposed to remake the wickets. That's the correct answer. We move on to the next one. A fielder uses his her elbow to completely dislodge a bail. What is the necessary for this to mean that the wicket has been fairly put down? A. Either the ball must be in either of his her hands. The ball must be in the hand of the same arm that was used to break the wicket. It is not possible. The wicket can only be put down by the ball or a hand holding it. Any
B.
B. The ball must be in the hands. Exactly. We learned this just now. So there you go. That's end of law 29. Law 30. And actually for
Just a quick,
law.
there's a small change, but essentially it is same, but in the latest law, they just renamed as the wicket is broken, just to simplify the terminology. It's called
right.
as wicket is broken now, but essentially whatever we learned is same.
Okay, and now I'm going to quickly I will show you another. Oh, I think we saw that example. So we will, I think we'll move on to the law 30, which is batsman out of his or her ground. So what makes batsman's ground is what we will learn in this law. So a batsman out of his or her ground. So when is the batsman out of his or her ground? A batsman will be considered to be out of his or her ground unless some part of the bat or their person is grounded behind the popping crease. So we learned when we were doing the creases law that the popping crease is inside line, right? The only exception which is outside is the bowling crease. So popping crease is an inside line. So there has to be a little bit of batsman's bat or their person, either the leg or the part of the back of the shoe has to be behind the popping crease to be within the ground. When that's not the case, it's out of the ground. However, a batsman shall not be considered to be out of his ground if in running or diving towards the ground and beyond, and having grounded some part of his or her person beyond the popping crease, there is subsequent loss of contact between the ground and any part of the person or between the bat and the person. So once while running, especially like in a scenario where batters are running and the batter makes his ground good, and for any reason the bat or his person loses contact, then if the wickets are broken down, then for the law purposes the batsman has still made his ground in that case. So that is an exception which we need to know as umpires. We will also learn about which is a batsman ground. So if only one batsman is within the ground, so that ground if only one batsman is within a ground, it's his or her ground and will remain so even if another batsman joins the other batsman. If both batsmen are in the same ground and one of them subsequently leaves, the ground belongs to the batsman who still remains in it. If there is no batter in either grounds, so when they are running, then each ground belongs to whichever batsman is closer to it. If the batsmen are level, the ground would be the batsman that was nearer to it immediately prior to drawing that level. So this we will see like some slides in the modules which will make more sense. If a ground belongs to one batsman, then unless there is a striker who has a runner, the other ground belongs to the other batsman irrespective of his or her position, as the Deepak covered this in the runner's law. When the batsman who has a runner striker, his ground is always at the wicketkeeper's end. So we learned that in the runner's law as well. The position of non-striker. So where can the non-striker stand? So non-striker when standing at the bowler's end should be in a position of the opposite side of the wicket to that from which the ball is delivered. So if it is a right arm over bowler, usually the non-striker would stand where on the other side where a right arm around bowler would bowl, right? Usually that's the norm, but in certain cases we will see like some field positions are on where the batsman would usually stand. In that case, the non-striker can come back to the same side where the ball is delivered, provided he is not interfering within the bowler's path, right? So we will see this, but this request has to be allowed by the umpire, has to be granted by the umpire. We'll learn that in the modules as well. So let's see
Batsman
how
out of
the
his or
batsman
her
out of his or
ground.
ground, this
When a
animation.
batsman is out of his or her ground, he or she risks being stumped or run out. So when is a batsman out of his or her ground? According to Law 30, a batsman shall be considered to be out of his or her ground unless the bat he or she is holding or some part of the batsman's person is grounded behind the popping crease at that end. Here, for example, the bat is on the crease marking, but not behind it, which means the batsman is most definitely out. But would the batsman be out now? Both the bat and the batsman are over the line, but neither the bat nor any part of the batsman's person is grounded, i.e. in contact with the ground. So, yes, that's out again. This being cricket, there is an exception to this part of the law. If a batsman, who must be running or diving, has already made his or her ground, either with the bat or any part of the body, but subsequently loses contact with the ground while continuing his or her forward momentum as the wicket is put down, he or she will be not out. Next question, and this can be a bit of a headache: what constitutes each batsman's ground? Well, when one batsman is in a ground, i.e. grounded behind a popping crease, then the ground at the other end belongs to the other batsman. If neither is in his or her ground, for example when they are both running between wickets or even stationary, each ground belongs to the batsman who is nearest to it. If both batsmen are level, then where they were before drawing level is the deciding factor. Of course, this being cricket, there are further delightful complications, such as two batsmen in the same ground, or three when you have a striker with a runner. But never fear, all mental anguish will clear with a little quiet meditation and reference to Law 30 in the Blue Book.
Okay, as we saw, based on the laws that we read and based on this video, everything makes more sense about what a batsman's ground is and whether and with what conditions, whether they are within the ground or not. In this module, on the left side, you see like this is the popping crease, which is the inside marking, which is there is a foot is behind that, so this is batsman is within his ground. Here also the bat is grounded beyond the popping crease, so batsman is within his ground. On this slide, the bat is inside the ground, but the batsman is not holding the bat, which would not considered as in his ground. And even in this case, the bat is inside the crease, but the batsman is not holding the bat. For the batter to be considered in his ground, he has to hold the bat, or he has to have some part of his person grounded within the popping crease. So this was also be considered as batsman not in his ground.
Here, the batsman has made his ground before his bat bounces into the air at the point where the bails are removed. He should not be given out because, whilst he's diving and had previously grounded his bat. Note the batsman must be running or diving to be protected by this law.
So as we see this scenario where the batsman already made his ground, but while during the process of diving, his bat lost contact from the ground and stayed in the air when the wickets were broken. So this would also be considered as not out because the batsman was already in the ground. Yeah, so those exceptions can only be when they are running, diving, and they have grounded the person behind the popping crease. And if there is subsequent loss of contact, as we saw in the video, it would still be considered as batsman within the ground.
Which is a batsman's ground? There are times when it is important to know which ground belongs to which batsman. If one batsman is within a ground, the ground at the other end belongs to the other batsman. If a batsman remains in a ground, this is his or her ground, even if he or she is joined in it by the other batsman. If both batsmen are in the same ground and one leaves, then that ground belongs to the batsman who remains. If both batsmen have run towards the same ground and are within that ground, it will belong to the one who arrived there first. If there is no batsman in either ground, each ground belongs to whichever batsman is nearest to that end. If they are level, then they are not considered to have crossed, and their grounds will be those that were theirs immediately prior to their drawing level.
So fairly straightforward. I hope everything is clear as long as what their batsman's ground is. Let's see
If both
another
batsmen
video.
are at the same end, the ground at that end belongs to whichever batsman reached it first. Therefore, in this case, the striker who dives to make his ground made the ground first, and the ground at the other end belongs to the non-striker who's given out.
It's fairly straightforward, and we just learned the same thing. Yeah, this is talking about the same thing with the runner. Yeah, as I mentioned, unless the umpire agrees, otherwise the non-striker must stand on the opposite side from the wicket from the bowler who is delivering the ball.
Usually, the non-striker will run on the opposite side of the wicket to the one from which the bowler is delivering the ball. However, sometimes, as in this example, there is a fielder blocking them from running in this position. In those rare cases,
So in this video, as you see, there is a fielder standing right here where this non-striker would be standing because the bowler is bowling from this side. But to accommodate that, they must have asked the umpires for this permission that the fielder can stand there. And in this case, the non-striker moves back here, but he is far enough from the bowler that it's not impeding the bowler or any of his delivery action, right? So this is allowed as well, but umpires have to grant this permission, and this is allowed as well.
with the umpire's agreement, they may stand on the same side as the bowler and move wider to allow space for the bowler's action.
Reflective questions. Let's see. A batsman drives to make good his or her ground and finishes still holding the bat, but lying on the pitch. He's outside the crease. The toe of the bat is on the marking of the popping crease. Is the batsman in his or her ground? Yes, the bat is on the line. No, the bat or body must be over the line to make good his ground. No, the bat is in his her ground, but some part of his body needs to be over the line. What do you think, gentlemen? Anyone?
I'll give it a try. It's a little bit confusing. I'm trying to read the question again. So a batsman dives to make good his or her ground and finishes still holding the bat, but lying on the pitch.
So he has the bat in his hand, but he is just on the ground, but he is outside the crease.
Has to be part of his body or like bat must be over the line, I guess, to make the ground.
Okay, so
I'm not sure.
That's correct. The bat or body must be over the line, which is the popping crease, as we agreed. On the line is not within the ground; it's outside. The next question: if a batsman dives to make his ground to avoid a run out, when is he first considered to be in his ground? When the bat in hand is touching the front edge of the popping crease, when the bat in hand is beyond the back edge of the popping crease, or when both the bat in hand and some part of the batsman's body is beyond the back edge of the popping crease. Who is this person? Somebody raised their hand. Harsh Patel. Unmute yourself and answer this question, please.
It's B.
Back edge of the popping crease. That's correct, because we know popping crease is always back. So let's go to law number 30 is done. Let's go to law 31. Law 31 is appeals. So let's see what the law entails.
Law 31.
Okay, so what is an appeal? And umpire not to give batsman out without an appeal. So in what conditions we will see? Neither umpire shall give a batsman out, even though he may be out under the laws, unless appealed by a fielder. So in case if there is a batsman who nicked the ball and nobody heard and nobody appealed, and you heard, but you're not supposed to give them out unless the fielding team appeals for it. But this shall not debar a batsman who is out under any of the laws from leaving the wicket without an appeal have been made. But in this case, if the batsman nicked the ball and they want to voluntarily leave the field of play, that is allowed. They can do that, and that's very noble of the batsman. To not wait for the umpire to make a decision, because sometimes umpire don't listen to that sound and they can still give them that benefit. But some batsmen like Adam Gilchrist is a notable example in the past, who used to walk without even asking the umpire for his decision. So a batsman is dismissed usually when he is given out by an umpire on an appeal, or out under the laws and leaves the wicket, as in 31.1 that we just discussed. Timings of the appeal. So when can an appeal be made, and until what time the appeal is valid? So for an appeal to be valid, it must be made before the bowler begins his or her run-up, or if there is no run-up, then his or her bowling action to deliver the next ball, and before time has been called. So there are three conditions. So before the bowler begins his run up, or if they don't have any run up, the bowling action, or before time. So these three conditions have to be satisfied. The call of an over does not invalidate an appeal. So appeal made prior to the start of the following over, provided time is not called. So just a quick question, like a scenario. The sixth ball of an over, there is a ball hitting the pad, and nobody appealed, and the umpire called over. And if it is if he just called an over, if a fielder from the boundary wants to still appeal, he can still do that until the start of the next over, and where the bowler begins his run up. So in that case, if they appeal, umpire can still give that batsman out. So you remember these three conditions when the appeal can be valid. After time is called, so at the end of the day's play, when the umpire's called over and time, after that nothing can happen. Even an appeal is not valid after that has been made. So let's move to 31.4. Appeal. How do you appeal for a dismissal? An appeal of how's that, or how is that, or how was that covers all ways of being out. The bowler doesn't have to, if there are three types of dismissals on the same delivery, they don't have to say how's that three times. They just have to appeal it once, and it covers all the ways being out. Answering appeals. So how does an umpire answer an appeal? So we know that umpires have certain jurisdictions, and they should give those decisions based on those jurisdiction. So the striker end umpire, which is usually called as the leg umpire, right, or square leg umpire, should give decisions which are involving hit wicket, stumped, and run out, because these three events are happening at his end. Bowler's end umpire is not able to make these decisions. and then the bowlers and all the other appeals should be done by the bowler and some bowlers and umpire. Even if something happens on the other end, they will make the striker and umpire will make these three exceptions, which are hit, wicket, stumped, and run out. When an appeal is made, each umpire shall answer matters that falls within that jurisdiction that we learned. When a batsman has been given not out, either umpire may answer an appeal made in accordance with 31. If okay, so if the first appeal is deemed not out, so for example, what comes to my mind is if the bowler delivered a fair delivery, it hits the pad, but the batsman is the bowler appeals for an LBW. The umpire says not out, and the batsman starts running, and the keeper takes the ball and tries to inflict a run out on the strikers, and so the and they will appeal to the leg umpire, so or the square leg umpire. So umpire can answer that appeal as well, even after the batsman has been given not out, because ball is still in play, the batter can still be out, run out. Consultation by umpires. So usually these are each umpire shall answer appeals on matter within their jurisdiction. If umpire is doubtful about any point that the other umpire may have been in a better position to see, they shall consult the latter on this point and then shall give the decision. So a scenario that comes to my mind is if the bowler delivers a ball which is close to the batsman's body and he's trying to flick the ball, and it the ball takes the bat a small nick, and then the keeper catches the ball, but the standing umpire, the bowler's end umpire, is not able to see this catch being completely taken properly or not. In that case, the bowlers and umpire can call the play dead and then go and consult to his partner, because he has heard the nick, but he's not sure whether the catch was properly taken or not, and maybe his partner has better view or the visible angle to provide him some information to give that decision. If his partner says that I have seen the catch has been taken clearly, then the bowlers and umpire can raise his finger and give the batter out caught behind. So just in those cases, umpires can consult. 31.7. Another thing, if after this consultation there is still doubt remaining, the decision shall be not out, because the benefit goes to the batsman.
Minimize this page so that thing does. Gentlemen, so bear with me. Okay, so appeals, as we were talking about, we go to the modules. What did we learn here? Okay. There's a question that the bowlers can ask to effect a dismissal, and umpire should not answer any appeals which give the batter out without any appeals. Made any time, as we learned that before the bowler commences their run up for the next delivery, so the call of an over doesn't invalidate an appeal. And being a question, the player asking it is entitled to an answer. If there are two options, either you say not out or you give the decision. So that's the usual mode of responding to an appeal by an umpire. So something. Okay, and if a batsman leaves thinking that they are out but they are not, umpire can actually call them back. This is the example that I wanted to show. I actually prepared a really nice video, but I will show you all those video scenarios at the end of the session. So in this case, if a batsman leaves with the wicket with a misapprehension of being out, but actually it's not, so the umpires can call and signal dead ball and bring the batter back to resume his innings. One way appeal covers all way of dismiss, as we learned that there's no need to appeal multiple times. which could actually be a case of excessive appealing, which is unfair, and the bowling team can be penalized for that. So we will talk about that in Law 41 and 42. Once an appeal is made, it is umpires alone to answer it. Umpires should answer it based on the jurisdiction, as we learned.
Law 31 appeal.
Simon Toffel suggests.
My top tip for Law 31 appeals is to answer every appeal that you get. The umpire should either signal out or shake their head and say not out in a consistent and unemotional way.
By one of the former ICC elite umpires. Reflective questions. So let's quickly move to those. The batsmen are running, and then there is a failed run out attempt. Fielder picks up the ball, and with the batsman still running, puts down the other wicket and appeals. Can the umpire answer the second appeal? So there is the first time there is a failed run out attempt. The fielder picks up the ball, tries, and the batters are still running, so they are trying to inflict another run out. Can the umpire answer this appeal? No, the ball is dead after the first not out decision. Yes, as the ball is still in play. No, the fielding side are allowed to appeal once per delivery. So, can somebody answer? Somebody who hasn't answered before? Deshaun, if you are there, if you can unmute yourself and respond to this question, if possible. Or Rahil.
I'm here, but I have the baby in my hand right now feeding, so I'm just listening.
All right.
Yeah.
Rahil, can you unmute yourself and answer this, if possible? Anybody who is interested in answering can unmute themselves, please.
I think it's B because the ball is still in play.
Yeah, B.
Still in play because the first field run out doesn't make the ball dead, so ball is still in play. That would be correct. Next question would be, when is an appeal no longer valid? Remember what we learned. A, if it is made before the bowler starts to walk back to his mark, if it is made before the bowler begins his run up or bowling action for the next delivery, if it is made after the call of time, and made after the call of over. Harsh Patel, unmute yourself and answer. When is the appeal no longer valid?
C.
After call of time, yes. Call of time removes that window completely, so that's the correct answer. 31. Let's go move to law 32. So these are 9 mode of dismissals that we are going to look at. The first one is bold.
Law 32.
Striker out bowled or a batter out bowled. In which conditions? The striker is out bowled if her wicket is put down by the ball delivered by the bowler, not being a no ball, so it should be a fair delivery, even if it first touches the striker's bat or person. So delivered ball, even if it touches the bat and then hits the stumps, our batter is out bowled, or if it hits the pad and then hits the stumps, still batsman is out bowled. So whatever it touches, the batter, striker's bat or person. However, the striker shall not be out bowled if before striking the wicket, the ball has been in contact with any other player or an umpire. So if there is a fielder's intervention or an umpire's accidental contact with the ball, the batsman cannot be out bowled. It has to be only if the ball touches the bat or the batter's person and then hits the wicket, and there should be no fielder's intervention in between this. The striker will, however, be subject to laws 37 obstructing the field. So the striker can still be out within these scenarios if that happens, but it would not be out bowled. Bowled to take precedence. The striker is out bowled if her wicket is put down, as we just learnt in the above laws, even though the decision against him for any other method of dismissal is justified. So in scenarios where a batter can be out like 3 times, if something comes to my mind, a bowler batter could be out, ball could hit the pad, could be out LBW, then it goes on to hit the stumps, the batter is out bowled. Even if two dismissals are justified, bold always takes precedence in all the dismissals. So any other dismissals as well. So just remember that bold is always to take precedence. Let's see what the module talks about. Yeah, so the ball breaks the wicket. This is bold conditions
The ball
satisfied.
may have struck the striker or the striker's bat or person before going on to hit the wicket, but these are still classified as bold. This is sometimes referred to as played on, but this is just a colloquial term, and it is to be recorded as bold. Here, the ball is not on course to hit the stumps, but after making contact with the striker's bat, it dislodges the bail. This still counts as bold, just as it would if the batsman had not hit it at all and a stump had been knocked out of the ground.
Forward, it has to either hit the batter's bat or his person and then hit the stumps without any fielder's intervention is how a bold is dismissal happens. Bold should take precedence as we learned. Let's go to reflective questions. These are fairly short laws, so we shouldn't take much time. So let's go. The striker makes no attempt to play the ball, which just touches her pad and is deflected onto the wicket, dislodges a bail, and then is caught by the wicket keeper. So here we are talking about bowled and caught both scenarios. There is an appeal. Under what method of dismissal should she be given out? So there are two modes of dismissals here, caught and bowled. Which one should take precedence? Somebody should. Harsh Patel.
It's A.
The striker hits the ball high in the air and not knowing where the ball is, calls for a run. The batter have crossed when the ball falls directly onto the striker's wicket without dislodging a bail. There is an appeal. What is the outcome? Ashok, if you are here, could you please unmute yourself and answer this?
Trying to read the questions a little bit small, so the batsmen have crossed.
The ball high in the air, and batsman has no idea where the ball is. They started running, the batsmen have crossed, and then the ball comes and lands directly onto the stumps, dislodging of the bail. So there is an appeal. What is the outcome?
The strikers are both C.
Bowl C. Why? Because there is no fielder's intervention, and then
right.
even if they complete like the whole one run, the run would not matter because the striker would still be out bowled. Okay, so that's that. Let's move on to law 33, which is caught, I believe. Yes, law 33 caught.
Law 33.
Bold always takes precedence, especially when there is bold and any other dismissal. Caught also works on the same guidelines. When there is any other dismissal along with caught, then caught will always takes precedence, provided it's not associated with bold, right? In that case, bold will take precedence over caught, but caught with any other form of dismissal except bold will always take precedence. So if you want to number, bold is number 1 and caught is number 2. How is the striker out caught? The striker is out caught if a ball delivered by the bowler, not being a no ball, so fair delivery, touches his bat without having previously been in contact with any fielder and is subsequently held by a fielder. So batter hits the ball, goes in the air, a fielder catches it as a fair catch. We will learn what a fair catch is. Before it touches the ground, the batter is out caught. Now, what is a fair catch? A catch will be fair only in every case, either the ball at any time or any fielder in contact with the ball is not grounded beyond the boundary before the catch is completed. So the catch can only happen within the field of play. If it touches beyond the boundary, it would be a boundary 6. We will see those examples soon in the modules. Furthermore, a catch will be fair if any of the following conditions apply. The ball is held in the hands of the fielder, even if the hand holding the ball is touching the ground. So I can catch the ball, but my back of the palm can still be touching the ground. That is allowed. Or if the ball is hugged toward to the body, or lodges in the external protective equipment worn by a fielder, or accidentally into fielder's clothing. Those are all conditions where a catch is valid. We will see like a video soon for all that makes sense. A fielder catches the ball after it has been lawfully struck more than once by the striker, but it has not been grounded since it was first struck. So a batter can strike the ball more only to protect his wickets. We will learn that in Law 34, hit the ball twice, provided it has not been grounded since it was first struck. So a catch can still be effective in this case. A fielder catches the ball after it has touched the wicket, an umpire, another fielder, or a runner or the other batsman. So batsman hit the ball, hits the umpire, and pops up, and the fielder takes a catch. That is also a valid catch because umpire is within play. They are a part of the game. A fielder catches the ball after it has crossed the boundary in the air, provided that conditions. So the ball can be outside the boundary in the air, but it hasn't grounded. But the fielder is within the field of play and he can catch the ball without touching the boundary. It's still a valid catch. The ball can still be outside the boundary, but in the air, since it's not grounded, it's still a valid catch. And then the ball is caught of an obstruction within the boundary that is not designated as a boundary by the umpire. So anything that the captains agreed as an obstruction within the boundary, if it hits there, it's still in play, and the batter can still be out caught if it hits those obstruction. Making a catch. Okay, this is very important. What is the act of making a catch? The act of making a catch shall start from the time when the ball first comes in contact with the fielder's person and shall end when the fielder obtains complete control over both the ball and his movement. So it's not just holding the ball, but also fielder should obtain complete control. So sometimes fielders might be diving. So during diving, they could catch the ball, and during the process of getting up again or having complete control, they can lose control of the ball. So a fair catch or the act of making a catch would be when the ball is caught legally, plus the fielder obtains complete control over both the ball and his or her movement. So the movement part is very important. We will see some videos that I have prepared at the end. No runs to be scored. So, excuse me. If we know that when the striker is dismissed out caught, runs are not scored. Especially the completed by the batsman are not scored before the completion of the catch shall not be scored. But any runs for penalties awarded to either side shall still stand. We will talk about that in Law 41-42. And as I mentioned first, caught to take precedence, especially when bowled is not with one of the criterias, but all other mode of dismissal would be justified. So then caught will take precedence in that case. Let's see what a fair catch is.
A catch shall be considered fair if the ball is held in a fielder's hand, hugged to the body of the catcher, or accidentally lodges in his or her clothing, helmet, or protective equipment. But of course, this being cricket, it isn't always that simple. If a fielder deliberately uses an item of clothing to try to catch the ball, it is not out, and 5 penalty runs are awarded to the batting side. However, the ball can be caught after it has deflected off the other batsman, an umpire, another fielder, including off a helmet being worn, or even if it lodges in a fielder's helmet. Perhaps the main criterion for a catch to be considered fair is that the ball must not touch the ground before being caught. Here, for example, the ball does not touch the ground even though the hand holding it does so in effecting the catch. This is a fair catch. And then there is the question of catches near the boundary. This is such an interesting subject that we've given it a film all of its own. To catch up on everything to do with catching, simply refer to Law 33 in the Blue Book.
As we saw in what conditions the catches can happen, so let's
Boundary catching.
okay, so this is another video animation which talks about boundary catching, Law 33, so we'll see that video.
In cricket, a catch is considered to be fair if the fielder is within the field of play and the ball hasn't touched the ground before he or she catches it. The fielder must have complete control both over the ball and his or her own movement. Can a batsman be caught over the boundary? Well, this being cricket, the answer is yes and no. If the fielder catches the ball like this, with part of the body grounded outside the field of play, then the lucky old batsman is not only not out, but also scores a 6. However, if in the same situation the fielder has leapt for the ball from within the boundary, but not from outside it, caught it whilst airborne over the boundary, but managed to throw it up in the air before touching the ground, he or she can then step back into the field of play to complete the catch. It doesn't matter if the fielder throws it to a teammate or completes the catch on his or her own. In this scenario, the same batsman who just scored 6 would in fact have been out. As they frequently say, it's a funny old game. For oodles more details on this subject, take a look at Laws 19 and 33 in MCC's The Laws of Cricket.
Catching can be very interesting. We'll see some videos. Okay, so for a fair catch to be made, there are a number of factors that needs to be fulfilled. Delivery, it must be a fair delivery, should not be a no ball. The ball must strike the bat holding the bat or the hand holding the bat. Ball may strike the batsman or his equipment before, after it strikes the bat. Yes, the catch can be taken after a lawful second strike. We'll talk about what a lawful second strike is when we review next law, provided that the ball was not grounded. So very important condition, the ball should not be grounded between the first and second strike, and in general for a catch to occur as a dismissal. So
if the ball rebounds off a helmet worn by a fielder, it remains in play, and from October 2017 can still be caught as a fair catch by a fielder.
No, protective equipments worn by the fielders, especially the closing fielders, are still counted as part of their person. So if the ball hits those protective equipments and lobs in the air and another fielder catches it, still a valid catch. Just like it hits to the umpire and the catch is taken, still a valid catch in both scenarios, as we saw in this video.
The ball does not have to be caught in the hands to be out. Here the ball gets stuck between the fielder's elbows while he is looking the wrong way, but that is still a fair catch.
The batsman is really unlucky. The ball lodges into the fielder's body and it's still a valid catch nevertheless.
Similarly, in this example, the ball gets stuck in a fielder's pocket. That too is a fair catch, as the ball is allowed to lodge in a fielder's clothing as long as it was not done deliberately.
Very unfortunate, a very, very statistical, highly improbable event, but the pocket also, if the ball lodges there or it gets stuck within the grill of the protective helmet for a fielder, it's still out caught in both cases. A fielder running or diving to be a fair catch, the fielders, as we learned, that they must have complete control of both the ball and their movement. and when they dive and catch the ball, they will not have complete control of the moment and the ball until they have landed and come to a complete stop. So this last bit, that they have landed and come to a complete stop, talks about complete control of their moment, and they need to have the ball in their hands all the time as well, with full complete control of the ball as well, to make that catch being an effective one.
To complete a catch, fielders have to be in complete control of the ball and their own movement, which means if they are running or diving, they need to hold on to the ball until they have stopped, or would be able to stop without going beyond the boundary.
You could see that the fielder actually caught the ball, but his movement, when he landed on the ground, it popped the ball out of his hand. So even if he caught it temporarily, momentarily for like a second, it's still not a fair catch because he need to have complete control of his movement. Catching. So the the cardinal rule for boundary catching is that the first impact has to be within the field of play, and then once you make that contact within the field of play, you can still go outside the boundary, and the provided that the ball or you, when you come in contact with the ball, has not touched the boundary beyond the boundary. So provided that the first touch is within the field of play, within the boundary, you cannot go outside the boundary and ball coming cannot push that ball in within the field of play because your first touch was outside the boundary. So that would be deemed as boundary six. But for a catch to be effectively, it has the first touch has to be within the boundary. Catch is close to the boundary. Yeah, this fielder is already it has probably control of the ball, but he is beyond the boundary, so not a fair catch. Would be given boundary six. Let's see.
Here, although the fielder has complete control of the ball, his momentum takes him into the boundary rope. It is therefore not a fair catch, and instead 6 runs are rewarded.
Got the ball fairly, but his momentum let him get in grounded with the boundary. So this would be boundary six, not a fair catch.
And here, even though the fielder himself does not touch the boundary, the brim of his hat does, while he is wearing it and while he's holding the ball. That means that's not a fair catch, and 6 runs are scored.
Part of the fielder's person, so even if that touches the boundary, it is learned that like the fielder has touched the boundary when we had contact with the ball, so the ball has touched the boundary, and it would be deemed as boundary 4 or 6, whichever the case is. Yeah, you are allowed to do that. This is fair catch. Fielder is within the field of bound play, but the ball is outside the boundary. You can still catch it, provided he doesn't touch any part of this boundary with his legs or hands, or if the cap falls, like that's okay because it's not a part of this person during this process. If it dislodges accidentally from his body. To be a fair catch, as I said, to be a fair catch, the fielder must commence the act of catching the ball from within the boundary or inside the boundary to have a fair catch. So they can jump from if a fielder jumps from outside the boundary, as I was saying, catches the ball in the air and lands inside the boundary, it's not a fair catch because your first point of contact was beyond the boundary, so it would be deemed as boundary 6. Inside the boundary, knocks the ball into the air, lands on the other side of the boundary, and then comes back inside the boundary and catches the ball. It is a fair catch. This is nowadays in T20 cricket, you see a lot of athleticism from fielders on the boundary. They do all kind of these amazing catches, which is possible provided that the ball, the fielder, or their person is not grounded beyond the boundary, and the touch first touch should be within the field of play, and then the fielder can go outside and do all the shenanigans of like an athletic catch, but those conditions have to be fulfilled. working together. As I said, umpires can act. Umpires are always like a team. They can ask their colleagues for advice, especially when they couldn't see the catch being taken properly. They can go to the umpire partner and ask them whether they had like a better view. If they get that input and that input is satisfactory, then they can make that decision. If both umpires don't have that information and whether the fair catch is fairly taken or not, then there is a doubt where we don't give batters out. You always give batters not out when there is a doubt. So scored from a catch, we know no runs are scored from a catch. This is particularly important if a catch is taken where scores are level. So I asked this question in our group today that what if the scores are level and a batsman hits the ball and it's the last wicket of the innings and the ball goes in the air, it goes very high in the air and during when and then the batter starts running and then they complete one run. So that one run should be enough to win them the game, right? But the ball is still in play in the air, and then the fielder catches it. So, what would be the situation in that case? So, the game would be tied in that case because there are, especially when the scores are level. Usually, any run that completes the game should uh, constitute a game and should make good enough to cause a result to happen. But only exception is when there is a catch in progress. That time, all runs that are being scored, even before the catch is taken, is are not allowed. So, in this case, the winning run in the scenario that I was just discussing, the winning run will not be counted. The scores would be tied because the game will be tied because the scores were tied as well, and the batsman will be out caught in that situation. As we learned, caught always takes precedence, except if it is associated with bold, because in that case, bold will take precedence.
Caught takes precedence over any dismissal other than bold. So in
What happened was there was let's see, let
this
me play the
case,
video.
even though the wicketkeeper stumps the batsman after taking the catch, he is out caught.
Batsman nicked the ball, the keeper caught it, but the batsman was still outside the crease, so he inflicted a stumping as well. So in this case, even if two dismissals are allowed, bold like the caught and stumping, caught will take precedence. The batter will be out. Caught.
My top tip for
Select. Okay. Hits the ball high in the air and is caught by a deep fielder. As he or she catches the ball, the fielder overbalances, and as she falls, throws the ball into the air. It lands on the ground. Would you allow this as a fair catch? What do you think, gentlemen?
B.
Not in complete control over his or her movement? Yeah, that's correct because they were not in the process act of making a catch was not complete. The next question is the batsman hits a fair delivery which strikes the helmet worn by a fielder and then is caught by another fielder, all without the ball touching the ground. There is an appeal. How should the appeal be answered? Out.
C.
Out caught.
Sir, that's the correct answer. Let's move to the next one. Um, Gentlemen,
Yes.
like I think
Excuse
we
me,
are.
sir. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
If the ball is hit by a certain fielders, not only one, like two or maybe three fielders, then what happened?
Three fielders.
If
Can
the fair, I mean, the fair catch is a fair catch,
Yeah.
but it is stuck by with the like a if it jump from keeper hand, then go to the another fielder, and then go to the another fielder. So if it go to the third fielder, it's still out, right?
Out. The only condition that has to be met here is the ball should not never be grounded, and the person who actually makes the catch has to have complete control over his movement, right? So even if the ball keeps bouncing towards 3, 4 fielders, the fielder who actually catches the ball, and if he has complete control and the ball hasn't been grounded, he would still be out.
Out. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Gentlemen, do you want to continue because it's over 5 o'clock? We are already over. We can do this sometime later. But if you give me another 30 minutes, I can try and finish this as much as I can. What do you think?
Rahul, maybe you could quickly go through Law 34, but 35 could take a long time. Maybe we could skip 35 LBW and try to finish the other rules, and then next week when we're going to do 41 and 42, we start with LBW. I don't know what the other gentlemen on the panel say.
I think,
Right.
Mr. Roach, another 30 minutes would be more than enough. So if we want to do 41, 42, and these last 5 laws in the next weekend, I think we should be able to do it. But provided I start on time, and then we can go through them quickly, because these are these are not like big laws. I prepared like this one video slides, but I wasn't able to put it. I wasn't able to show it to the members. But I think we can stop here. We can, because everybody is. It's almost 3 hours, 3.5 hours actually. So.
Now, what the other members say? Do they want us to continue or not?
I think let's do it next week.
Exactly. I think it's gonna take a lot longer, Rahul, with questions popping up from certain members. So let's just resume as of next week, and hopefully we can tackle it.
I think next weekend we are planning to cover these last 6 laws plus 41 and 42. I
Yeah,
think a 3 hour session should be able to complete everything. So I think let's disperse today for. I think we can start law 34 next week.
sounds like a plan. Thank you. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
that's good with me.
Yeah, and if anybody has any questions, you have my email, so feel free to write to me if they have any questions. I think the first week of April, we are planning to have like a mock exam, like an in-person mock exam. So me and Navneet are planning to create that exam for level 1, level 2 aspirants, because we don't have any level 3, anybody writing level 3 as of now. So we'll communicate all that information to you when the time is right. But yeah, I think I'll break for today, and we'll continue next week.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Rahul.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
guys.
Rahul. Thanks everyone to turn up.
Thank you, guys.
Everyone, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.